everyone. Now, importantly, what is this conference all about? We're going to talk about that in a moment as we invite our guest speaker, our keynote speaker rather, who will be taking us on the first section for today. I trust we are all ready. So quickly, without taking time, please can we introduce ourselves in the chat room while we run through why we are gathered here this morning? Kindly introduce yourself, your name and your country in the chat room, please. Your name and your country. So this conference is organized by the Integrated Institute of Professional Management and sponsored by the Tekidia Institute, Marina Group, LP Consults, Sarah Jones Travels and Tours. They will have the Diabetes and Hypertension Health Support Services Africa in Ghana, and they will have the Nectar Rule Consults. So these are the wonderful people who have put their heads together to make sure that this conference is a success. Now, importantly, we have not just gathered just to see whether time knows how to tick. We've actually gathered for something really, really important. Our gathering this morning is essentially to reconsider the African economy and look at ways we can make it better off. The African economy had looked like it has suffered compared to other economies of the world. But our confidence is that we have the people who have the capacity to make things work. And the first capacity anyone could build is the capacity of coming to the consciousnness of the fact that things need to get better. So that's the most important thing that led to the organization of this conference. So in this conference, it's all about building capacity, entrepreneurship and leadership. Thank God we have an array of people from all over the world joining us. So people will be talking to us from wherever they are talking, from wherever economy they are coming from. Our guest speaker will be talking from US, and then other speakers will be talking. Professor Jagdish is also in the house. He'll be talking from India. So we'll be hearing from different economies, and then drawing inferences, we then find out how we can get Africa better. We just have to keep an open mind to build capacity. In IIPM, we focus on interaction. So we interact a lot. So we are going to open the floor for interaction as when the time is due. Ask your questions, and also we advocate for networking. So you also network with others. Okay, we have about 16 countries registered for this conference. Okay, we might not expect a full house today because some people will still be at work, but we are definitely that tomorrow we'll have a full house. We had over 750 people registered for this conference. So we are going to have a more fuller house tomorrow. So once again, I want to say a very big welcome to everyone. And like I said, let's keep a very open mind, share our thoughts, have our contributions, and then we'll move forward. Importantly, let me remind us, this conference is a 2-day conference, and it's absolutely free with a free certificate to come with it. Please note the certificate is only soft copy certificate. So it will be emailed to all the people that attended the program. And our basic requirement is just 100% attendance. So you have to attend the first day and the second day, okay, for you to qualify. You don't need to make any payments. You don't need to pay any fee for that. The only fee you need to pay is your attendance, and that's 100%. You have to be available today and tomorrow. So also in course of this program, we'll be sharing the attendance link. Please ensure to fill out the attendance form, as that will be a basic requirement for this program. Now, without much ado, our keynote speaker is already on ground, and we are going to be introducing him. He's going to take his keynote speech alongside with questions. We want to sincerely appreciate Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe for taking the time to accept our invitation. We've said it before, everything we are doing here is 100% free. So all of our guest speakers, they made their presence without any fee attached. Okay, they made their presence without any fee attached. So without wasting time, we are going to introduce Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe, who happens to be the principal consultant at the Tekidia Institute, USA. Okay, so we've shared his profile in the Google Classroom, but we are going to take the time to read through the profile, and after which we will have him take over the floor. All right, we are still here together.
Okay, I just want to know when you want me to just get started.
Okay,
you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
But
so you need to make me a co-host so I can share my slide when it's time.
Okay, we've actually made you a co-host, Prof.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. So you can go ahead, please. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, so go ahead and you want to do an introduction or I should just get started? Let me know.
Okay, just a moment. We'll get your profile and then we'll read it out and then proceed. Okay, so while Prof is already set for us, I will quickly read through his profile. Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe is the lead faculty of the Tekidia Institute, Boston, USA. Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe invented and patented a robotic system which the United States government acquired assignee rights. Professor Ekekwe holds 2 doctoral and 4 master's degrees, including a PhD in engineering from Johns Hopkins University, USA. He earned an undergraduate degree from Federal University of Technology, Owerri, where he graduated as his class best student. While in analog device corps, he co-designed an accelerometer for the iPhone, a recipient of IGI Global Book of the Year Award, a third fellow, IBM Global Entrepreneur and World Economic Forum Young Global Leader. Professor Ekekwe has held professorships in Carnegie Mellon University and Babcock University and served in the United States National Science Foundation Committee. The South African press called him a doctor of innovation for helping organizations on the mechanics of business innovation, strategy, and growth. Since 2009, the chairman of Fast Micro Group, which controls many startups and entities, has been writing in Harvard Business Review. He was recognized by The Guardian as one of 60 Nigerians making Nigerian live better on Nigerian State Independence Day, October 1st, 2020. This is Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe, and we are glad to have you, sir. Please, shall we all make welcome Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe in the chat room? Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us. We are glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's quite a moment and a great privilege to have this opportunity of coming here to have a conversation with you. I want to thank the organizers for extending an invitation. Thank you so much for having me and about ability. Shared is just for that happen. How do we bring the continent? So over the next, I will be having a conversation here how I do believe vividly that we can drive growth, drive sustainable development, and accelerate the well-being of our citizens from the lagoons of Lagos to the Arctic of Morocco, to the rainforests of South Africa, and to the beautiful Isle of Sudan. So I will begin by taking you to this plot. If you look at this plot here, it tells you the GDPs of nations over the last 2,000 years. And you see here that they've actually have been in a state of loss. Empires come, empires go. Nations come, and they accumulate capabilities. They have a very, very dominant role in global economic system. And over time, competition, shapes of disruption, changes the economic nations, and you will see that the GDPs, they are never static. So there was a time India was even a very, very great nation in terms of the global composition of the global GDP. And also time came when the United Kingdom was extremely also dominant. You can see that China has always been there. But today we see that America is, of course, the world finest economy, but China is just by the side. At GDP, the aggregate of economic activity in any economy or around the world, if you use the word gross world product, you see that there is never anything that's every other economic system in the world. So you come, you build your own comparative advantages, you build your own competitive advantages, and then you assume tax. Then over time, somebody figures out a better way of doing what you're doing, and that nation also captures its value. And if you look at this one here, which is very clean, using the GDPs of United States and China, because they are the most dominant economic systems today. If you look back the 2,000 years of GDP, you see that around 1,500 years, the GDPs of China, the GDP of United States, they were largely flat. And what do I mean by flat? It means that the economic system was not expanded, even when the population was increasing. So there is a very huge implication to that. If the GDP was flat and economic growth was in stasis, nothing was happening. And yet at the same time, the population was increasing. The implication is that the per capita income was actually decelerated. The per capita income essentially means that if you divide the GDP by the total population of a people, you get the per capita income. So the more people that were born, the more people that were in these nations, even in a flattened GDP, meant that a generation to another generation, men and women were getting poorer. So it happened for years. Nothing was happening. And I can also extrapolate here that during that time in Nigeria, we also experienced this. In a way, if you go to the northern part of the country, we have whatever we have. You go to the east, you go to the north, you go to the south. Nothing was happening. And that was the time that Reverend Mathis, you must have read about him in your economics textbook or your agricultural sciences secondary school. Reverend Mathis said that the world economy was growing in a geometric progression, while the food production was growing in arithmetic progression. The propensity, according to him, was that the world was getting into a state where we will run out of food. because he saw a largely linear system in the capacity for man to provide food in an exploding population system. So it was a hopeless system. But then look at around 1770 upwards. You could look at this curve here, something begins to change. A flattened GDP was now looking like a parabolic exponential curve. In other words, the economy of the United States of America, which more than 1,500 years was flattened, began to now look like something that was in a very solid slope. Of course, China also picked up the same pace, redesigning the economic system that is flattened GDP was now in a slope. So what happened? Why was that possible? Why did that happen? It turns out that during this period, before that 1700 or so, the world was an inventive society. You now see this curve that is exponential, at least parabolic. The world, to a large extent, is an innovation economy. But unfortunately, that translation did not and does not actually capture every part of the world. So here, America has moved from a flattened GDP growth to one that is now parabolic, that is one exponential. And China has also joined the path because these two nations are innovation societies. But if you go back by the left-hand side, these are called inventive societies. Inventive societies are societies of ideas. These are societies where men and women are very good in bringing orthodoxies of knowledge systems without having the capacity to translate those knowledge systems into products and services. If you go to Molwe Park today in Lagos, men will tell you how they fix electricity. If you go to where women make their hair, they have a very good idea how to solve Nigerians' problem. But give them today, give them next week, next month, nothing happens. Because Nigeria and most part of South Africa, we are inventive societies. We're a society of ideas, but we do not have the capacity to a large extent to translate those ideas into products and services that have the capacity to fix frictions which are evident in people's lives. So because we are inventive, we are not innovative. That aggregate accumulation of economic activity that gives us the gross domestic products, we have underperformed. And because we have underperformed, we have lost the capacity to shape the ordinance of market systems at the global economic level. So you see now a nation of 210 million people having a GDP of less than 500 billion, for example, using Nigeria. But I'll tell you, if you go back to the United States of America, you see that a nation of about 330-something million people having a GDP of close to up to 30 trillion. So that means that our ability, our capacity to translate our numeracy, the number of people we have to drive economic growth, we have underperformed exceedingly. It's all about having ideas. It's all about talking about the ideas. It's not about going to the newspapers, write about them, but then wake the morning. No one has any means of translating those ideas into tangible things that will affect people's lives. And that is the reason why we don't have electricity. That's the reason why we don't have clean water. That is the reason why practically we don't even have good roads. We don't have good healthcare system. It doesn't mean that we do not have professors. It doesn't mean that we do not have people, think tanks, that can tell us what to do. It simply means that we do not have innovators who can transition from having those ideas into creating products and services that can actually improve the lives of people. Nations rise when you have innovators. Inventors are great, but the greatest thing that happens in any economic system is when you can transition those inventors to innovate. How do we drive? How do we move those inventors to innovators? And I can take you back to history. There used to be a time when, if you go back to this curve, this left part, you see that some of the finest and some of the most brilliant mathematicians, some of the most fascinating physicists and chemists, they lived herein. These were the men and women that gave us some of the most fundamental of physics and beautiful science of numbers, mathematics. The men that pioneered them, they lived here. But some of them, when they died, they were so poor that the families could not even afford a graveyard for them because they were poor. So what I'm making, the point I'm making here is this. It's not about knowledge. It's not just about intelligence. It's actually about you need, besides having that mathematical construct, understanding the mechanics of physics and chemistry, you need to also do something more. Because the fundamentals of physics. But there were the people that chicken pox, even though they had the elements, the compounds, they could not make vaccines. And because they could not make vaccines, not impart. So things we are talking about African development and growth. There is something that is so powerful in our world. There is something that is so fundamental in our world. And if any nation or any do that, every other thing becomes irrelevant. Every one of us visions are and I have somebody that provides school services. I wake up in the morning, I have to eat food. I need to find a mechanism to make sure that somebody provides food. And you wake up and you want to go to work, let's say from Lekki to Victoria Land. You need somebody to provide a vehicle, either you can buy it or somebody can provide a bus or taxi. These things are part of economic systems. In a way, if you look back into it, all of us have needs. We have things that we need economic systems to provide for us. And the basic economists, they say that there is a demand and there is supply. But interestingly, because of information asymmetry, the demand and supply, they cannot come into a near perfect equilibrium point. So I'll give an example. Let's assume that I've just landed in Owerri now. And in Owerri, I don't have a family member. And there is no restaurant in Owerri, and I'm very hungry. And the propensity for me is to begin to knock in Owerri, looking for somebody who has food. And you agree with me that that process is extremely not very helpful, because I can knock at the first $100 and I may not have somebody who has food to serve. And at the same time I'm knocking at the door, there is a family that has food to serve, but they can't find. So what has happened here, that information asymmetry, the inability for somebody who has information to connect to the other person who also needs that information he has not worked for us. So what happens at the end of the day, I stay hungry, and the family that has food to sell, they can make it sell. So you know what happens? Somebody say, it cannot be this way. Let me go and start a company. And I'm going to call that company Mama Charlie's Restaurant in Owerri. So that next time BBC is hungry, he doesn't need to be knocking at every door in problems. Companies exist to fix the frictions which are evident in the market system. In other words, that restaurant now exists because there is a friction which exists between Ndubisi, who is hungry, and somebody who has food who wants to sell to him, but they cannot come into a near perfect equilibrium point. I simply go to Mama Charlie's restaurant and eat. And when I give Mama Charlie, I pay her, let's say, 2,000 naira for that food. I am compensating that restaurant with money, because money is that revenue that I have to pay because of the friction that restaurant has overcome in my life. And revenue is the compensation to companies for overcoming frictions which are evident in markets. And that is the mission of firms. You set up a company, you set up a business, And that this money is by Confucius. What I'm trying to say here is this: for you to develop the African to drive, just like when the woman saw that somebody comes into town and is very hungry, she says, I'm going to start a restaurant. And that restaurant provides a service. And that service overcomes that problem I have. And that becomes a component of the aggregate of economic activity, which now helps the GDP of that nation to grow. The same thing happens in banking. I have got $1,000 with me. I have nothing to do with it in next 1 interest rate. There is someone who has a poultry business in Kenya who needs that money to expand his poultry business. The person can't find me. So what happens? Somebody say, let me start up a bank. UBC, come and put out your 1,000. We give you the 10%, 15%, and takes my 1,000 and give to that individual. That delta of 7 is the cost the bank has imposed for overcoming that friction to make it possible that the person who needs that money can have access to them. Because if you leave both of us, we may just stay without having an opportunity to come into a conversation to have a market transaction. So for Africa, if we see that these opportunities in markets are frictions, and the only companies that can help us to overcome those frictions, to accelerate economic activity, and now advance the welfare of the citizens by overcoming problems that companies and individuals have. It means that the path to development, the path to growth will come when we now have innovators who can go into the market to begin to create products and services that can overcome those problems. It's not about how you reach. To this customer. Economics. What are the elements? You want to be a business. You want to overcome frictions. How are we going to do that? It turns out in our time now, there are so many critical things. We need knowledge. We need people that have entrepreneurial capital. Of course, that can't even find nurses to hire. And because they can't find nurses, they can't do business. So there is scarcity of human labor here. And there are no companies knowledge. Tell me a node astrology. And they became very great legends. Now, if you go back to the time when Moses appeared before the Israelites in the Bible says that when he appeared, that they marveled because he has studied under Pharaoh. Because the best school system in the world, it was in Egypt. And Egypt do rule the world. Egypt dominated the world. Egypt gave the world a centerpiece of civilization. You go back to the time of the Greek Empire, the Greeks, they were the people that turned the conversation of the great moments of the great construct of the universe. You go to the time of Aristotle, the time of Socrates. These men were creating massive knowledge, body of knowledge. If you land in Athens today, you go to the coast island, you see around the Mediterranean Sea, you see the shipping lines they built because the Greeks created knowledge. Africa has no chance until we begin to create knowledge. The best thing about America today is not because they have good bombs. America has some of the finest universities in the world. And those university systems, they are elements of ability to create knowledge. By having the ability to create knowledge, they can retool their economic system. That any perturbation from markets, they can adjust themselves. The best about Germany is that they have the ability to create knowledge. And if you see the greatness that we are seeing in China, because China has gotten to the state where China can create knowledge. Even India is showing a very, very optimistic exuberance where their young people are becoming pioneering machines in the body of new knowledge and technology. So you cannot advance in that economic growth and development until you begin to do what nations do. COVID-19 vaccine is a product of new knowledge. And if you do not have the ability to create that knowledge, you will stop. So when you have the knowledge, it's not just enough. You also need to have pioneers, entrepreneurs, people that can take that idea and turn it into products and services. Look at America, you look at Andrew Carnegie, you look at Rockefeller, you look at B.Y. Mellon, the men that built America. And if you look at Africa, you can see Aliko Dangote, Strive, and so many of them. These are men that have shown the ability to see problems in markets. They create products and services that can now be used to overcome them. Now, of course, capital is a very critical part. Let me just try to make this fast because I understand we want to have question and answer. Then, when you have all these elements, you are now beginning to build a foundation for growth and development. But I will tell you something, I have never seen a nation that develops faster than this educational system. The budget of Harvard University is more than 3 times the total Ministry of Education of Nigeria. In other words, if you combine what Nigeria spends in education in a year, you have to multiply it by a factor of 3 to get close to what only one university in America spends. So that is the reason why when I hear this whole construct of leapfrogging the West, I always laugh. Anyone can talk, it's your right. I think it's in the Constitution. But let me tell you, how are you going to do it? It's not about talking it. It's about building systems that can make things happen. And this is a very critical point because this is what they do. They come here, they go into the villages. And many of us live in the village. You came to university, like went to Futo. And then you come to this beautiful country, America. There is a process they put you through that a guy who could not even know how transistors work, by the time you go through the educational system, you begin to design microprocessors. How do they do that? How do they turn simple village boys into something that they could not even understand? I recall the first time I landed at the Johns Hopkins University for my PhD. I did not know anything about transistors at a deeper level. But by the time I was graduating, even the United States government had access to a patent I invented. So how do they do that? It means they have mastered what matters, translating that knowledge and helping you to see things in a great way. So the point is there are elements necessary to improve this element. Let me just get straight. So my point is this: we have an opportunity to combine these elements to fit market frictions and advance the wealth in our societies. And there are so many areas and domains that are available for the African continent. Our agriculture remains extremely primitive. I'm not trying to slight people here, but it's always unfortunate when a community of farmers are asking government to send them food. How are you a farmer and you're asking government that you need help? Because if 65% of Africa's population are involved in agriculture, yet we are still hungry. It means we are not doing the right thing. In most parts of the world, developed nations, less than 3% feed the whole nation. But in Nigeria, in Africa, average of 65% are involved in agriculture, and yet we cannot feed ourselves. So if you look at it here, you see that our process in how we are organizing these elements, we have not advanced that process very well that we can become more efficient. Productivity is a very critical element across healthcare system, across also many elements. So just to make this thing very short because of time here, I'll say it clearly that the most latent opportunity we have in Africa today, we have not unlocked it. You go around the villages and you see men and women sitting on acres of land. But those pieces of land, they are largely informal. They are not in the register of their nation. And those people are called poor people. How can you inherit 1,000 acres of land and somebody will still say you are poor? Because the government has not digitized and given you, and you don't have an entry into the balance sheet of that country. Just imagine if every land in your village is captured in the balance sheet of Nigeria. Just imagine every villager who has a piece of the ancestral communal land, he or she can go to the bank and say, I have 100 acres of land that I inherited from my grandfather, from my father. And I want you to know that I want to sell 2 so that I can use the 2 acres to pay for my child's school fees, take care of my family medical needs. The other 98, we keep it. Then I have there is somebody, I'm living in Umuahia in Abia State, but there is somebody who lives in Lagos who wants to buy it. And when that person buys that land belongs to him, and he does not have to have any fear that it could be taken away from him. That is what I mean by land velocity. Land velocity here is ability for land to have velocity that it can move transactionally, that I can stay in America, buy land in Osun State, and I know that that land belongs to me, and that the government will give me the right and protect me. And if we can open up that opportunity, what that means is that the people we think are poor, they will become very rich people. In short, most of our banks will open branches in the remote part of our villages because the massive latent wealth in our communities will actually be in the hands of these villagers. It's only in our nation, in our continent, that you see a man with 1,000 goats and the government will say he is poor. Who can do this thing? Who can unlock these opportunities? This is the question for growth and development. Growth and development is not about the liturgy of writing papers. It's about doing critical things other continents have done many centuries ago. America believes that without property rights, nations cannot rise. They've spent a lot of time creating that system. And if I can also show you that Africans today, our GDP is about 3 trillion. That means we are underperforming as a people. And I do believe if we do little things, we can actually get a 9 trillion GDP by 2030. And this is not about a wishful thinking philosophy. This is about the mechanic models that if you activate them one by one, you can actually triple the GDP of Africa within a decade. Just like I do believe vividly that Nigeria GDP should be minimum of 2 trillion by now. And it's not because there are fundamental things that are necessary for us as a people to do so that we can open up the vistas of innovation, driving prosperity and accelerate the capacity to combine and recombine these factors of production. And if you see there are changes, the world is never in a state that is frozen. Go back to the left-hand side, you see, after COVID, Africa is now in a state of loss. There are digitizations. The evolving empires of the future will be different from the one we have today. Today, they call it the Digital Challenger Bank. One bank, I don't even know how many staff they have, maybe less than 30 people. It's called Kuda. Kuda Bank is bigger than FCMB Bank in Nigeria, Fidelity Bank, Wema Bank, Sterling Bank, Polaris Bank, Unity Bank combined. Kuda is not even up to 5 years old. Wema Bank was started in 1947. But just one small bank, if you can even call it a bank, is bigger. And if you now look at Flora Wave, it's now as big as close to Stanbic IBTC. And if you look into the e-commerce space, you see companies as suppliers, Mint. Look at Trade Depot and Alisa, the one in Ibadan that just raised $10.5 million last 2 weeks. We are seeing that our economic architectures are being redesigned as a result of these technology systems. But the question here is this: it's not just about serving the largely affluent part of Africans. I call them the middle class, even though it could be weak. The question is how are we going to get those, many of them that are not rising with us? Because if we can get what they call the bottom of the pyramid, there are so many people there. As this transformation is happening, it means that the opportunities for the future remains unbounded. Digitizing our supply chain system, improving efficiency in how we provide our services, we are going to see a total change in the Africa's economy. And I'll tell you something, if you go back one of the debates they had many centuries ago about Pythagoras, Pythagoras made the postulation that the world is nothing but numbers. And if you see that as these digitization processes happening, the economic architectures of our economies will begin to change. So I want to believe that young people are going to be extremely critical in helping us to drive that growth and prosperity that we are hoping in the beautiful continent. So let me just have practical cases in the next 2 minutes, so I'll round up because of time. And I'll tell you that there are things that can drive the economic system. So there is a project I'm involved in. It's about, this one is agriculture. You put it in the soil, it collects information, making it possible for farmers not to use guesswork, but to use data in order to make decisions in their farms. But the right one shows about the prospect of you go to a village and you go to a market, you go to a church, you go to a mosque, and you are feeling not healthy. You just take a little pint of blood, put it in a machine. The machine can diagnose, oh, this person has tuberculosis, this person has malaria, this person has typhoid, and now tells you that, hey, you can also go to this clinic and take drugs, because machines can now have the ability to do that. What I'm trying to say here is building the machines of the future, building the technologies of the future. They are going to be extremely critical in the positioning of Africa. So I'm trying to make everything very practical. The promises of tomorrow's Africa will be on innovators translating all the ideas we have. And it's not about writing. And as we are seeing in healthcare services, as seeing in agriculture, you have to see the same thing in every other aspect of our lives. When we can do all those things, the aggregate of all of them will now bring prosperity, shared prosperity in the economy. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for that wonderful keynote. I sincerely believe that we couldn't have gotten anything better than this. Thank you so much. Okay, so Prof had given us a whole lot of exciting information this morning. One of the most important things I focused on in this discussion is talking on the area of innovation. The area of innovation. If Africa must move forward, we must then be ready to innovate. Now, without taking much time, Prof will be exiting in a moment, but before he exits, I think let's take out the time we have for questions and answers. So if you have questions, kindly raise your hand and then we'll unmute you and then we'll take your question, please. If you have question, kindly raise your hand. Let's maximize the opportunity we have now. Okay, so we have the first hand, Chidozie Prince. Please, Chidozie Prince, if you can hear me, kindly unmute and let's hear from you.
Okay. Good morning, all. My name is Okere Chidozie Prince.
Okay.
I'm actually speaking from Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay.
I actually appreciate what Prof I'm really giving to us because it's very, very eye-opening. And I really love it. My question is, should we not look at this from why not allowing the youth to travel out to go and have this opportunity over there than waiting for this innovation, which we don't know when it will come up in Africa? As in, it should be a large opportunity for us to go out of this country to do better over there than just having to wait for this innovation. We don't know when it will come up. Imagine someone who is 25 this year having to wait for innovation that comes in the next 40 years. How would they impact in our life? I don't actually know. That's just what I'm trying to do.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Prof, I trust you got the question.
Yes, but let me just say this. Of course, it's a very, very unfortunate thing that young people may not have so much confidence that they could stay in Sub-Saharan Africa and have their moments. But it wasn't like this before. I must note, if you go through just about maybe 1960s, realize that, I mean, in Nigeria, they created vaccines. This thing they call vaccine that will look like a white magic now. I recall vividly that Professor Njokobi in 1970 in Nigeria invented the vaccine that was used to treat cholera in Kano during the cholera outbreak. So he did not travel abroad to do that. He was in Nigeria and created that vaccine. So of course, our innovation systems have been broken because of so many political angles that we have scored against ourselves. But this is what I would say. There is no reason for anyone to lose hope. I believe that tomorrow is a promise, and I have so much confidence that things are going to get better. But it may not necessarily come through the path of government. If you look at what is happening in Lagos, it's actually more exciting to live in Lagos now than to live in any part of the world if you want to become an entrepreneur. If you live in New York, the kind of money these innovators in Lagos are attracting, no one is going to give you that kind of money because all the problems have been solved in New York. If you live in London, no one will do that for you. So I know many people that are moving from United States, moving from London. They want to go to Lagos. They want to go to Kenya. They want to go to Ogadagu. They want to go to Nairobi to start companies. And within just 3 months, they are raising $10 million, $5 million. So I want you to open your mind and see beyond the liturgy of what you used to see. There are pockets of diamonds even where you are, but it may not come in the package you have in your mind. You know, most of us, you were in America, but every morning we wake up in Nigeria because we know here is to pay tax, but Nigeria is actually where you can become very, very rich. So don't just discount it. Find a way to connect with people who can actually make you better. It's not about coming to US, it's not about coming to London. It's not everyone that came here that did well. It's just about having that human spirit that even where you are, you can do better. And just like they are doing in Lagos, they are creating millionaires every week in Lagos. Millionaires, multi-millionaires. And don't think, it wasn't like that even in 1960. So the opportunities are there. I want to encourage you to have that kind of mindset. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Prof, for that response. Chidozie, thank you for your question. I sincerely believe you got something from there. Now, before I go to the next question, please, let's remind that the theme of this conference is Fix Your Mind, Fix Africa. So we want to start from us, and that's the whole essence of what we're doing. So like Prof said, you don't need to travel to US or UK, but the innovation must start from us. The future we want to see, we must be the ones to drive it. All right, so thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to take the next question from Shedrack Isaiah. Please, Shedrack Isaiah, kindly unmute and let's hear from you.
Hello?
Yes, good day, sir.
Hello.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I want to deeply commend Prof, and I want to deeply appreciate this opportunity granted me to make a little contribution. First, I want to commend the excellent delivery this morning. by Prof. And I want to say, how do you survive in this side of the world, Nigeria in particular, with this double taxing system? I believe, and I'm an advocate also of a homegrown innovation and creativity. But how do you survive with a double taxing system we enjoy in this side of the country, in this side of the world, Nigeria in particular, please?
Yeah, you see,
my question.
Yeah, it's well understood. How do you survive in a double taxation economy? But I will tell you this, you won't believe it.
You get me right. You got me right.
Yeah, I know you won't believe this. It's actually easier to do business in Nigeria than to do business in most parts of the world. Yeah, you see, the thing is it. I mean, if you look up, I have investment in more than, I think it's nearly more than 35 companies, startups. I invest, it's my hobby. They come in, it could be $50,000, $30,000. I invest in a lot of them. So I have data from Germany, US, India, Latin America, Africa. To start a business, for instance, in Nigeria, it's actually very, very easy. There are places you go, you just realize that things are not that easy. I'll give you an example. If you go to Washington, D.C. in America, and there is a government contract, they want to look for a contractor. For you to apply as a startup, I mean, you just give up because you need a history of past work. You need to have extremely structured system with lawyers and so many things, compliance officers. At the end of the day, by the time you read through everything the government needs, you give up. But in Nigeria, you can start a business today, and next week, you can apply for a government contract. I'm not saying that getting that government contract is easy, but at least you have an opportunity that the system is designed in a way that anyone can try. So it's not like everything is bad. What I tell young people is that find a way to sift through all these things and find how you can have an opportunity. We have double taxation, but if you look at it, it's not because government really wants to tax you. It's just that government itself is broken. I recall vividly when I was in Futo, I will win the Dean's Award, I will win the Head of Department Award, I win the Vice Chancellor's Award, and each of them, they came with free hostel accommodation. At the end of the day, in a semester, I'll have 3 hostels, the same person. So you've got the dean will give you an accommodation, the vice chancellor is giving. He said, why is it in the same university? The university will expect you to stay in 3 different rooms because they couldn't even coordinate themselves. So the same thing happens when they are doing the taxation. So what I will tell you is this. Even there is double taxation, that should not break you. And it's not a problem that it is under your control. Find a way to find an opportunity in that system. But don't just think that if you come to Washington, D.C., some of the opportunities that some of us have, even competing for government contracts, for instance, you don't have them as a startup. You need to have a heritage. You need to have a record. And most times you must have operated for at least 10 years before you can even knock at that door. But in Nigeria, 2 weeks, you could be pursuing a government contract if you have the right idea. So that is a very positive aspect of the developing economies. And you should not for any reason take it for granted, despite the fact that because the government is broken, they try to overtax us or tax us many times, but there are other positive aspects of it.
All right, thank you so much, Prof, for that answer. So, Honorable Isaiah, you've heard the remark on that. Okay, so without taking time, I'm going straight to Nobel Avete. I trust this should be from Ghana. Nobel Avete, please, if you can hear me, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Nobel Avete from Ghana. I want to thank Prof for the opportunity. And my question here is not a question, it's just a suggestion and add up. You see, here in Africa, the only problem we have is our mindset. If only we can fix our mind, I think we can be able to do more and great things here without traveling. Because I believe when you watch the diaspora, many great doctors and many experienced people we see out there are all from Africa. So I believe when we fix our mind, we can do a better thing here in Africa. But my question here to Prof is, how best can they, the diaspora, help us in Africa fix our mind and fix Africa? That is my question for Prof. How best they can be of help to us? Because in Africa, especially here in Ghana, there is a demonstration going on currently in my country, Fix the Country. And I think there is our member of parliament came up to say we should fix our mind first, and there are a whole lot of problems, because I don't see anything wrong with him telling us to fix our problems so that the country can be fixed. But many of the youth don't understand. So I want to know and ask how best we can help each other in Africa to fix our country, because I believe Africa, we have the capacity to build our own nation. We have the capacity to build Africa.
Right, thank you so much. I believe Prof had gotten your question. Just for the sake of time, Prof, please, over to you.
Yeah, I think like if you look at during my presentation, I noted capital as one of the elements necessary to drive that translation that we need in continents. And interestingly, when you see all these startups raising $5 million, $20 million, $30 million, the investors in Silicon Valley, in Paris, in London, unfortunately, they are the ones with the money. Our grandparents in the villages, they don't have money to write for us to build all these modern companies. So the diaspora are actually helping to create that linkage, creating that validation for these foreigners to write those checks. So that's one way most of them are helping. But there is, of course, what many people want to see. How can you make a diaspora come into Africa and contest for a political position? It's not that easy, because politics in Africa today is not governed by knowledge, ideas. Politics in Africa is actually how can you fight with your talks to win an election? So most of these guys here, because of the societies they have lived, they may not really be very ready to go into such because of their reputations. But in one thing I can tell you is this: the diaspora, most of them are helping. The influx of capital into entrepreneurial capitalist systems in Africa today through the private sector, without African diaspora, most of those things will not be possible. So we just have to find a way to deepen that relationship. Look at what India is doing. Indians in America, in anywhere they are, they continue to see how they can improve their home country. Go to see what they are doing in Israel. Israel does the same thing. African governments will actually see that the diasporans are actually the best products will export. I'm telling you. You see, if you go here, people talk about they live in America, but the fact is this: the competition it takes to live and the way they filter whom they want in the United States from Africa means most times we are just exporting some of our most brilliant. So the only way is, how can government make it that even though they have been exported out to the United States, we can still make use of them by working with the home team so that we can advance our economic system. India has a very good example. Israel has a very good example. And I do believe not everyone should live or stay in Africa. And not everyone should come and stay in Paris or London. But there needs to be a synergy. And that can be the roadmap that we need in order to accelerate in development and improve the lives of our citizens.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. There had been major contributions from the diaspora. And I think Prof taking out his time, and many of us that are giving out our time from different parts of the world to be in this conference this morning is one of the most important contributions that those in the diaspora are making, apart from the angel investment, capitalist investment that they do. So it's just about getting information. Now, we've shared Prof's LinkedIn profile in the chat room. Please, we advise that every one of us follow Prof on LinkedIn. He shares very interesting information on LinkedIn so that we can all keep learning. All right, so I'm going to take the next question from Truslin. Please, as possible as we can, let's just go straight to the question. And if we can get 2 or more people before the time is up, we'll appreciate it. All right, Truslin, please kindly unmute and let's hear from you. Truslin, please, if you can hear me, kindly unmute and let's hear from you.
Hello.
Unmute me. Okay. Good morning.
All right, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, Prof, for your exposition. From way back, even at secondary school level, we're taught about trade and barter, the narrative of demand looking for supply, and we're told that price is what we pay for that demand and supply to come. I find out that we've known this narrative from secondary school even to the university, but our educational system is more theoretical than practical. Now, my question is, how can we make our curriculum sustainable so that somebody who finished from JSS 3 well equipped with vocational skills do not necessarily have to go to the university? He will now go into the labor market and explore that vocational skills into the economy, while the university will now be a research center for learning and development. Not necessarily everybody coming to the university without having anything to offer. My question then is, what are the practical ways we can make our curriculum sustainable? If any nation must grow, and it cannot grow beyond its educational system. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. And that's actually a very important question, but let me flip it this way. I mean, if you Google, you see my picture with Bill Gates and Richard Branson and all these billionaires. Interestingly, because I have an always opportunity of meeting them, most of them did not even finish college. Like Bill Gates did not finish college. And if you go to Lagos, there is one of their chiefs, one of their scientists in Microsoft, the guy, they just transferred him from Lagos to London now. I think his name is Larry. That guy finished only secondary school in Nigeria. He did not even enter university one day. So Microsoft hired him in Lagos. He became really very, very good. Today, he's one of their major scientists in Microsoft United Kingdom. So I don't think our challenge is really about whether somebody is prepared for vocational education or not. I think our system, to a large extent, Nigeria has a very good educational structure. I recall vividly when we came to the Johns Hopkins University, I may not have known how to write Python, I may not have known how to write Java because maybe we didn't have computers in school, but we were very good mathematicians. I knew calculus very well, I knew series very well. So the professor said, hey, I'm not looking for PhDs, those that can write Python. I'm looking at these guys that can solve real mathematics, so that if they can do those mathematics, we can always get people to write all those things in software. So our educational system is not the issue. What I think our challenge has to do with, Nigeria has dropped the merit-based system, which used to make young people to compete to be the best. What we are running today in most parts of Africa is who is going to be the best in his tribe and not who is going to be the best in the nation, because of the kind of, there are 100 opportunities. 20 must come from my village, 20 must come from your own village, 20 must come from another village. So if they need to select the top, they have to make sure that everything is balanced. So the competition has been regionalized and no more nationalized, which means that the top 20 in one place could still be the best, but at the end of the day, they cannot be selected. So when you have a system like that, people don't pay attention to strive to be the best. Look at the admission process in India Institute of Technology. If you look at admission process in India Institute of Technology, you see where a young man knows, a young lady knows that this is the future I want. I have to do everything to be among the best. But if you now put a system that says you could come third, but because your tribe has produced first and second, it doesn't matter, we cannot pick you. We have to go and look for another tribe. When that got into Nigeria, that was when everything collapses. Professors do not see the propensity to write more papers or do more research, because even if they come very, very far, it doesn't matter. Another person from another place has to represent the third position. So when you don't have a merit-based system, you have lost a continent. The same thing happens in Kenya. The same thing happens in Nigeria. The same thing happens in Ghana. All of us are tribal lords. And because of this tribal lordism, we have actually failed to advance. The educational system we have today, I'm telling you, our school systems are not terrible. It's just that we do not have a merit system that drives it.
All right, thank you so much. On the time we have, we're actually running into Prof's time. But if Prof would...
I can still have 5 minutes.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Prof. Really appreciate that. Okay, so Trusley, you've got to your answer. Nigeria has one of the best educational systems. Apart from that, the problem of Nigeria is just within. So our educational system, the problem is what we have made it. Okay, so let me take the next question very fast. Please, Celestine, Opera, and okay, can we take just these last 3 persons? Celestine, Opera, Pastor Engineer Kingsley, and Professor Jagdish. Okay, so please, Celestine, Opera, kindly go straight to the question. Please, straight to the question. Yeah, Celestine, your mic is on. Please go straight to the question.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for the wonderful presentation. I must say I really appreciate it. My question goes this way. As an entrepreneur who is trying to still build up his finances, who has not just gotten, what I say, connections in terms of trying to build his businesses here in Africa, how can, what are the steps can the person take in order to thrive and be connected and excel in line of businesses? That's just my question. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's really very simple. Every business must have a very clear objective. What is the problem you're trying to solve? You need to have it very, very, very evident. So you need to know what problem you want to solve. That's the friction in the market. Another thing also, you need to have a team. If you have a great team, and then it makes it easy for you to have the capacity to begin to actually solve that problem. I always recommend, if you do not have a co-founder, try to find somebody who can work with you. Most investors will not talk to you if you don't have a co-founder. So have a great team and possibly have a co-founder, and make sure that the problem you are solving is actually a very, very strategic problem. Like I wrote recently in Harvard, I said that it doesn't make sense for somebody to say, I want to build the next Facebook, I want to build the next WhatsApp, because you have no chance. So you need to make sure that the problem that you are trying to solve is actually something that people will believe makes sense. And once you do that, capital will find you, because you are trying to fix a friction, which is actually very important in the market.
I know that. That's a very important statement. Okay, so Celestine, please hold on to that. Before we take the next question, please, I would like to inform us that the Tekidia Institute, they run a mini MBA program here in Nigeria. So please, you can visit thetekidia.com to check out all of the program, or I'll be sharing their website and all of that. Please kindly take your time. The programs are quite explosive, well loaded. So some of these questions we're asking here, especially on investment, capital raising, and all of that, I think it's a 6 months program, if I'm not mistaken, or 3 months.
No, it's 12 weeks actually. 12 weeks.
12 weeks program. Okay. So please, as you get that information, kindly visit that website, check it out, and also try your best to follow Prof on LinkedIn. Most of this information I also shared there. All right, I'm going to be unmuting Pastor Engineer Kingsley, my good friend. Please, Engineer Ifeta, kindly unmute and let's hear from you.
Yeah.
Engineer Ifeta, are you there? Okay, while we are waiting, Engineer Ifeta, please can we have Professor Jagdish? Please, Professor Jagdish, let's have you.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Hello, Prof. Good day.
Greetings from India, and thank you very much for your insightful presentation. And I'm happy you mentioned so many things about India also in your research. Now, one of my observation is, it's not a question but observation, like India and all other developing countries, the basic problem in raising the level of education and using digital technology is to bridge the digital divide that we have in different sections of the societies. So I think in Africa also that must be the case. So what's your view about that?
Yes, of course, there are too many critical components in any society. There is the job the state has to do, which is the government. And there is also the one that entrepreneurial capitalism has to do. It turns out that using digital technologies to drive education is actually the fastest way of scaling and making money for entrepreneurs. So these guys are not necessarily driven, even though they will say it. It's not about how do I make sure that every child has an opportunity. It's actually about how can they capture the largest opportunity they can capture in a market. So, for instance, if you come to our institute, Intekidia Institute, we are actually today the largest business school in the continent. I have students from ABU Zaria, most of the top universities in Nigeria. We even have many private schools. We have 140 faculty members from MasterCard, Shell, Microsoft, Flutterwave, all these top companies. We use them to teach. We know there are people that can't come because they don't have money to buy internet broadband service. But unfortunately, Professor, that's not really the problem I'm going to solve. So the point is this: there is a digital divide. Those who have access to the web and those who do not. But the education innovators or the digital entrepreneurs, that is not the purpose why they set up. The reason why they set up a business is that they believe there is a market segment they can go for. And if they think that that market segment is big enough, they can capture value, they go for it. Now that the other ones are left behind, unfortunately, that's where the state has to play a significant role. And if the state does not want to play a role there, maybe another innovator, another company can find how he can find value there. So I like what the United States is doing. There is the recent infrastructure bill by Joe Biden administration. The government now wants to make sure that rural America, that kids that are living there, they have internet access. So that is government making sure that even some kids can have access to Facebook, have access to Google, have access to the digital tools, because companies are never going to do that. So, and that is the same thing in India. The largest educational startup in the world, Bijus, is in India. You know, BYJUX. I think it's nearly worth more than $35 billion. And they keep growing. And I'm sure that the young man who started this Bijus, he did not start it to train every kid in India who does not have a laptop or tablet. So, but the Indian government can say, we like what you're doing, it's working. And we are going to make sure that Jio, which is one of the largest telecommunication operators in India, will subsidize for poor Indian kids to have access to your platform. So that is where the public-private partnership can come. Innovators are not driven mainly on that, because investors that are giving them money, that may not be the purpose of that money. Unfortunately, that's the world we live, and you cannot solve every problem. You just have to choose the one that you want to focus on. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I think we have had enough from Prof. We've taken an extra 10 minutes from his time. So for the sake of time, we might have to take, we will just have to stop here for today. So now the next time we invite Prof, he will come. Okay.
No problem. Thank you so much,
can
gentlemen.
we have your last word, Prof, before we allow you to go?
Now, I would say here that the future is one of abundance. And I've always had this equation. Innovation is equals to invention plus commercialization. Innovation is equals to invention plus commercialization. If you have not commercialized it, don't say it is innovative because it has not impacted people's lives. So Africa needs to have innovators, not just inventors. And until we do that, we will not be transforming the lives of young people from the rainforests of Johannesburg to the Sahel of Sudan. And then you look at the Morocco parts of the mountainous parts to the lagoons of Lagos. I have a very big promise that this continent is going to help everyone rise, not just for the few. Thank you so much and have a wonderful event. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Prof. We are so delighted to have had you give us 1 hour, 12 minutes of your time today, all the way from USA. This is awesome. So we want to say a very big thank you. Please, can we all in the chat room say a very big thank you to Prof? Please, can we all say a very big thank you to Prof? We need to have at least 100 thank you before we can go to the next section. Thank you, Prof. We are so glad to have you around. Once again, we must not fail to appreciate that it is for the heart that Prof has for the growth of Africa that he had made himself available. If it were to be that we needed to pay him, obviously we wouldn't have paid him or wouldn't have been able to pay him. So we want to sincerely appreciate your heart for Africa. And like I said, the Tekidia Institute is doing a whole lot of work on entrepreneurship. They are running a mini MBA program. You can join, just like he said, the program gathers a whole lot of people from different continents, from different institutions around the world and bringing them to learn. All right, so I've shared the link in the group, in the chat room. Please kindly visit the tekidia.com and get all the information. And also feel free to follow Prof in his LinkedIn account. Follow him on LinkedIn, and then more of the information. He posts very relevant and updated information every day. Okay, and that's why some of us that are following him are benefiting. As a matter of fact, we got linked on LinkedIn, and thank God we are now linked to help Africa move forward. So thank you so much, Prof. We are so glad that you made out this quality time to be with us. We are so grateful. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Really good. Now, without much ado, we'll be inviting our next speaker, who also happens to be a prof. So we'll be having our next speaker come on. But before that, please let me quickly remind us of the whole essence of this program. The theme of this program, or the theme of this conference, is Fix Your Mind, Fix Africa. Okay, and I'm going to share a very simple story, and then I will hand over to our next moderator. While I was growing up, I loved music. I still love music anyway. So I joined a choir, and then I had a choir mentor, a music mentor who was mentoring me. So one day he was teaching me how to play keyboard. And I asked him a question. I said, so how do you get your inspiration on the kind of music you write and all of that? And he told me a story. He said, there was a man who happens to be a prof working on the research. And then he had a little baby, a little boy who was disturbing him, couldn't allow him to focus on what he was doing. And in trying to distract the boy, he got a map, divided it into different shades, and then gave the boy to go and fix. Now, the young boy went, sat down, tried as much as he can to fix the map. Unfortunately, he couldn't fix it. So turning the side of the papers that were given to him, he discovered that there were different parts of a man. And then he decided to start fixing the different parts of the man rather than fixing the map. Now, by the time he ended up fixing the different parts of the man, at the other side of the map, by the time he turned the map, the whole map was fixed. Then he took it to his father. And the father looked at him, very surprised, asked him, how did you manage to fix this map? Because I know at your age, there is no way you could fix this map. And the young boy said that he saw a man at the back of the map. He decided to fix the man. And by the time he was done fixing the man, the map was fixed. Now, that's the same situation we have in Africa. There is no continent that ever gets fixed without first getting to fix the people in it. And that's why we are all gathered here to fix our mind, build the right entrepreneurship capacity, build the right leadership capacity so that we can all join hands together in fixing Africa. Now, on this note, I want to be handing over to Princess, who will be introducing Professor Jagdish. So Princess, please, I am handing over from here. Thank you so much. Please hand over to Princess right now so that he can introduce our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vanito. Good morning, great African leaders, ladies and gentlemen. You're all welcome to the second lecture of the 2021 African Leadership and Entrepreneurship Conference. My name is Princess Nabitwe, and I have the honor to introduce to you our very next speaker on this program. He is none other than Professor Jagdish Khatri. I would like to read out his profile. Professor Jagdish Khatri is from India. He is a renowned management faculty, corporate trainer, and author, recognized as Global Goodwill Ambassador with 44 years of experience in corporate and academic circles. His book, Discover Yourself, has been published in Latvia and Germany. An engineer, MBA, and PhD, Prof. Khatri served heavy industry as senior manager. Having a passionate knack for sharing his knowledge, he opted to join the academic world. He rose to become founder director of an MBA college at Allahabad and president of Allahabad Management Association. Later, he served Mansour University as professor and director, MBA and International Affairs, and as shareholder of UNESCO Network Share in association with Lenovo Moscow State University. He has been a regular invitee as speaker in international conferences organized by Moscow State University, UNESCO, BRICS Forum, and inducted into editorial boards of several foreign journals. Professor Khatri is an excellent trainer, motivator, and life skill coach. He has impacted over 44,000 man-hours of training to students, industrial engineers, managers, and workers on a wide variety of topics on self-development, communication and presentation skills, leadership, life skills, management, and creativity. He has been a regular trainer with MNCs like Alstom, Areva, Schneider, TBA, and many local industries. His popularity with students can be gauged from the fact that a forum was formed in his name at Allahabad in 2006, named Jagdish Khatri Student Forum. To bring the collective wisdom of successful leaders and managers at one platform, Professor Khatri has formed Successful Management Worldwide Leadership Forum. He can be contacted for customized training programs, keynote speeches, and motivational lectures. So I have read his profile, and he is going to be talking to us on the topic, the power of personal discovery and life planning. Please pay an undivided attention as I welcome Professor Jagdish Khatri. Professor, you have our attention, please. Prof. Jagdish, please.
Yeah. I hope you have made me co-host so that I can share my screen.
Yes, go ahead, Prof. You already made a co-host.
Okay. Okay, so very good morning and thank you very much for this opportunity. Thanks to Professor Benito and also thanks to Princess for introduction. I mean, it's a great privilege to be introduced by a princess, isn't it? Well, I would just like to add, one of my classmates and a very close friend from childhood, he had been at Nigeria managing the show at Indorama Petrochemicals for several years. And he told me a lot about Nigeria. So I am happy that today I have this opportunity through IIPM to share my views and talk to people from Nigeria. I have always believed that the future belongs to Africa. See, 19th century has been the century of Europe. 20th century belonged to USA. And now 21st century must belong to Asia and Africa. So that is my view, and I hope you will all agree with that. So this is the topic given to me, and I would like to present my views, and I hope it will be useful to all the listeners. So as you all know, Africa is the land of natural resources. You know better than me, around 90% of cobalt, then 50% of gold, 82% of platinum, 30% of uranium, and so many others, phosphate, manganese, etc. For the world, it is being produced by Africa. But now the next thing that is going to happen is that Africa is going to be the land of human resources also. With 1.3 billion population of Africa, which matches the population of India also, over 60% of your people are youth, young, below the age of 25 years. And if we train them properly with the right skills, they can be the main workforce for the whole world. And this is the opportunity that is there with Africa. When we talk of fixing Africa, I think this is one of the targets. So we need to equip our human resources with right skills, both technical as well as soft skills, so that they have both competence as well as the confidence. Competence and confidence, these both are required, because when we talk of technical skills only, it gives the competence to work. But what is required, as was mentioned by our keynote speaker also, it is the confidence that requires soft skills. And I would rather like to call it as a life skills, because these skills are most important for managing your life in a better way and becoming the best version of yourself. So I'm sure this is the view shared by all other speakers also. Now, as the theme of conference suggests, fix the mind, fix Africa. And so it suggests that the journey to excellence has to begin from within, starting with the mind and heart. And that is where I can make a humble contribution. And rather it becomes a duty for all us intellectuals to share our whatever experience we have and expertise to the next generation. We will not do them a favor. Rather, we owe it to them. Now, as Aristo had said long back, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Just a minute, is my screen visible? Hello? I hope my screen is visible. It's saying your screen sharing is paused. So knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, and that is where we have to begin with the self. And here I take the opportunity to introduce my book, recent book, Discover Yourself. You may find it that I have written Discover Yourself, SELF, which I will explain in a little while from now. Now, this book was published in Latvia and is being marketed through Germany and has been translated into Russian and also in Polish language now. And it is under publication in other European languages also. Now, this is, my talk is not about promoting my book, but promoting the concept behind the book. That is, each one of us must discover our higher self or our spiritual self to express our divinity. This is said by the famous Dr. Deepak Chopra. This is our duty, that we must discover our spiritual self. Now, before we go further, let us take some questions. And these questions may not be very comfortable, maybe, so please don't mind it. Please think over, was the world there before we came on this planet? I'm sure the answer must be yes. Will the world be there when we cease to exist on this planet? I think again the answer would be yes. Now, if the world was there when we were not there, and if the world is going to be there when we no longer exist on this planet, then the question arises, what difference are we making? What difference does our presence make? What purpose is being served by our existence over here? Have we ever put a thought on it? Are we serving a special purpose? What for we are here? Now, see, the world population is around 7.8 billion nowadays. Can you find any two persons who are exactly same? In any part of the world or in our history, whether there were two persons who were exactly same?
Excuse me, Prof.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Prof. Your
Yes.
slide isn't moving. Your slide is not moving at all. Could you adjust it, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, what we have on the screen is, before we go further, let's take some questions.
Yeah, Princess. Was I audible?
You're audible, but your slide isn't moving. I just thought I should tell
Okay.
you so you can adjust it, please.
So Hmm. Is it okay now? Is it visible?
You are not sharing your slide. Please share your slide, please. We can hear you, but we can't see your slide.
Oh, I'm so. In fact, my desktop, my laptop had some problems. I borrowed a laptop from some friend, and perhaps it is not. Is it visible now?
Yes, we can see it.
Is it visible? Yeah. Thank
Much
God.
better, sir.
Okay, can I proceed further?
Yes,
Is it?
please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. So you see, billions and billions of people have come on this earth. How many names do we remember? Then, were there two persons exactly the same in any part of the world or at any time period in the history? Perhaps not. You may say that some twins are you may mention that some twins look almost similar. But even apart from looks, is everything about them similar? Their habits, their thoughts, their value system, their actions, their memories, their likes and dislikes? Perhaps not. Now the question arises, why God has to choose to create every child differently? Just see that God is always busy producing millions of new dies every day in different parts of the world, giving birth to so many babies who are all different. What should be the reason? Why should God be bothered so much about creating everybody different? Because God wants every person to be different and unique. Now, this is the thing that we must all understand, remember. God wants every person to be different and unique person. Are we so? And what is the difference we are making? What is that uniqueness in us? See, it is said that everyone has a purpose in life. Everyone has a unique gift or a special talent to give to the world. There has never been a person who has all the qualities, all the good things, but also there has been never a person born who had no good quality at all, no special talent at all. So there is something that you can do better than anyone else in the whole world. The question is how to find it. It is said that 2 days are important in your life. Number one, when you are born. And number two, when you come to know why you were born, the purpose of your existence. So, what is that unique gift or that special talent that you have? or we all, this is not for only listeners, for all of us. Have we ever put a thought, what can we do better? What is special about us? You ask for introduction about to any child, anybody, he will say the name, maybe something about his parents or his degrees or his occupation or the native place, etc. But that can be with anybody else also. What else? Now the problem is that in our whole education system, from KG to PG or to PhD, we are never thought about self-management. And nobody asks us also about that. We have no time to find out our own self or discover our own self. That is why we need to put some thought on it. Now, these gifts that we have, these special talents that we have, we must be willing to share our gifts with the world. Make the world a richer place by sharing your talent. Kevin Chung has written very nicely. Make the world a richer place by sharing your talent, because the world doesn't just want the gifts you have, it needs the gifts you have. The world needs them. And that is why we should be willing to explore ourselves and then share our special qualities with the world. And on this similar theme, there is another question, which is the richest place on earth? And this richest place is not to be found as per GDP or per capita income or wealth. The answer is as per Les Brown, and it may look surprising. The graveyard is the richest place on earth. The graveyard is the richest place on earth. Why? Because it is here that you will find all the hopes and dreams that were never fulfilled. The books that were never written but could have been written. The songs that were never sung. Inventions that were never shared. Cures that were never discovered. So, because people took it with them, they did not share. And why this? All because someone was too afraid to take that first step. Keep with the problem, or determined to carry out their dream. We were too shy to share our ideas, innovations, and we kept it to ourselves. We were shy in even realizing our dreams. So please think over. Why are we afraid to pursue our cherished dreams? Or to showcase our talents to the world? Do we all realize our full potential? Or do we even know what is our full potential? Nobody asked us. So what can be the reasons? Some of the reasons could be there are no opportunities for self-awareness and exploration. Nobody asks us, we don't feel the need to also, and we just go on doing run-of-the-mill way. Then there is habit of self-doubts. Oh, how can I do that? I want to do that, but perhaps I may not be able to do that. I'm not that intelligent, I'm not that rich, so and so. There is absence of motivation or the right guidance, support to the ideas from the society and at times from even the parents. So what do? We prefer to live in our own comfort zones. And comfort zones, you all are aware, it is said that 80% of people live here and 20% of live in the other, out of comfort zone that we call as learning zone. So in the comfort zone, we prefer risk-free environment, just getting by, mediocre way of life. We are fearful. We do things only that are easy to do. We are so regretful. We want to play it safe in every way with ease. We want to live with ease. And we want to be just like anyone else, copycats. So we try to pursue our dreams. We believe there is abundance of things to be obtained, to be achieved. We try those things that we are afraid of doing or those that are difficult. We have the courage, something new that we have never done. Innovate, take risks, utilize opportunities, even explore opportunities. We explore new things. And we have no limits to our life because we can achieve anything in life. If that is the feelings that we have, then we are in the learning zone. And this is what is necessary for us, for each one of us, to see the difference between the two and try to come out of our comfort zones. And hence this requires that we must excuse me, yeah. We need to develop a life framework that is self-empowered and that suits our talents and dreams. And that is why I again bring my book into the picture, Discover Yourself, that is self-empowered life framework. Now, there are six steps for this, starting from self-awareness, self-exploration, self-analysis, to self-development, and hence achieving self-empowerment. That should be our main aim of life, to have higher self-esteem. We'll explain it little later also. So these 6 steps for the framework that we have seen. Now, it's not possible in this given time to go through all the details, but I will try to cover some important points which may be useful. So 3 elements of self-awareness. If you want to become aware, each one of us must do some exercise. Take a diary and pen and sit quietly and try to put answers to these questions. This is extremely important. Self-concept, self-ideal, and self-image. Three elements of self-awareness must be there. All three are important. Self-concept, who am I? What kind of a person I am as on today? What I wish to be, self-ideal, which state I want to achieve, and self-image, how I want to be remembered by others when I'm not there. These three things are, all three things are most important, because unless we know where we are, how can we know and this is the ideal, but we must know self-concept also, where I am, so that we know the gap. I will a little bit explain it in detail. So self-concept is formed by combining two views. One is the view that you have about your own self, and it is added by the feedback that you receive from others about you. So both combined, that forms our own self-concept, what kind of a person I am. And then this details that what do I feel about my own personality, my own relationships, my own behavior, my own achievements so far, my weaknesses, the areas where I need to improve. This is to be written in detail. I usually conduct training workshops for the whole full day for students and for even executives, in which I make them write whatever they can about self-concept. And in one of my classes, it was a weekly class. So the next week, the person came with 39 pages written about herself, about self-concept. Then self-ideal. This is the ideal state that one would like to be. Where do I want to achieve? Where do I want to go? And ideal state, not only in terms of money or in terms of position, in three aspects of life: doing, having, and being. What should I be doing? What should I be having? And how I should be? All these three ideal states should be written by us to be achieved in life. It is said what a person can be, he should be. That means a person should strive for becoming the best version of him. Or we can say better version, better than today. And self-image is, you see, we all want to have a good, clean, respectable public image. We all wish to be considered as more intelligent than we are, more beautiful, more kinder person than we are. We always attempt to create a favorable impression on everyone we interact with. And we, at the same time, avoid any adverse action that could tarnish our carefully crafted image in the minds of people or in our social circle. We want to leave positive memories in the minds of people when we are not there. What are we doing for that? So for a balanced personality, once you have written all these three things, self-concept has to be as honest as possible. Self-ideal has to be as realistic as feasible, and self-image has to be as authentic as desirable. These three requirements must be there. We have to be honest with ourselves, because we are analyzing our own self, fixing our own goals, and trying to find out what kind of image we wish to have. Now, another concept that I would like to share is, I hope the time is there. There are four main components of self: physical component, intellectual component, emotional component, and spiritual component. I would like to show it in a diagram. If it can be expanded. There are four, this is the self that we are. So four components are physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. The physical component relates to our body, our actions, and the doing part. The intellectual component is related to our mind, our thoughts, and is our thinking part. The emotional components relates to our heart, our emotions, our feelings, our relationships, and this is the feeling part. So what do we do? How do we think? And how do we feel? But one of the most important and often neglected part is spiritual one. That relates to our spirit, our character, our integrity, our faith system, our value system. And this is what is related to our being. Please understand that we are known as human beings, not human doings, not human thinking. We are human beings. What kind of person we become? And this is an important part of it, which we should never be ignored in the mad rat race. It is written that Marco Pire quite had written, I think the self-discovery is the greatest achievement in life. Because once you discover yourself and accept what you are, then you can fulfill your true potential and then be happy. So you self-discovery, you discover yourself and accept yourself what you are. And then you try to fulfill your true potential. Once you fulfill that true potential, then you are happy. As Maslow's theory says, self-actualization. That is the limit that we should have, we should aim for. Now the theme of the conference is Fix the Mind, Fix Africa. But I would like to just add, please fix the mind, but not the mindset. Please fix the mind, not the mindset, because I will show the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. The fixed mindset says it is the belief that skills, intellect, and talents are set and unchangeable. Our skills, we are as born and we remain like that only. But growth mindset says the belief that skills, intellect, and talents can be developed through practice and perseverance. And of course, this is in too much detail, but in view of the time, I will not go into details, but it reflects, it is related to all areas, our desires, our skills, of the efforts that we make, the setbacks that we receive, how do we receive them, the feedback, what do we do with our feedback, and when we see our talented peers, what do we feel? We can grow. So fix the mind, but have a growth mindset that yes, we can be better every day of life. It is same thing again in similar way, but again in a short we can say the fixed mindset says mistakes mean I failed, while the growth mindset says mistakes help me learn. This is too hard. Okay, this will take more time and effort. I can never figure this out. I will keep trying even when it is hard. My first idea did not work, so I gave up. I should stop. But the growth mindset says I can try another idea. I am not good at this. Growth mindset says what is being missed. I can't make this any better. Well, I can improve with effort. So perhaps you are able to see the difference between two mindsets. So we have to cultivate growth mindset in our young people that yes, things may not be good, but they can be made good, they can be better. It is said by Lao Tzu and also repeated by Mahatma Gandhi and Buddha also, watch your thoughts for they become your words. Choose your words for they become your actions. Understand your actions for they become your habits. Study your habits for they become your character, and develop your character because that becomes your destiny. So thoughts, words, actions, habits, character, all these are our components and they form us. Again, Dr. Deepak Chopra's quote in Ageless Body, Timeless Mind. You do not grow old. When you stop growing, you become old. You do not grow old. When you stop growing, you become old. Now, we had seen self-esteem as the last stage of our development. So self-esteem is the value that we place on ourselves. Our own assessment of our worth as a capable, likable human being. Our ability to define who I am and then judging myself and then deciding how much I am likable by myself, not by others. Even if others are praising me, but in my heart, do I know, do I respect myself? Have I done something that increases my self-esteem today? And again, a quote from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. If I had 10 hours to cut a log, I will spend. Are we sharpening our saw? Are we sharpening our skills? Like a diamond has to be honed and polished to get it to its beauty. Are we honing and polishing our skills, our character? So there are only 2 ways to avoid obsolescence. Keep learning and keep adding to your skill inventory. This is a continuous thing. I am still call myself every day. We have to learn something new. And again, the quote. The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind, by Dr. William James. We can alter our life by altering our attitudes of mind, hence the theme that fix the mind really is the thing to be achieved. So thank you very much for your time and patience, and I'm sorry for the glitches that I had. Valuable comments. Much for
Thank you very much, Dr. Prof. I beg your pardon. We really, really appreciate your presentation. It was very motivating, very insightful, very inspiring. We thank you so, so, so much. I personally have learned so much from you, and I'm sure everyone today has learned something to help them in one way or the other. Please, now is the time to get your questions, please. If you have any questions for Prof, please let us know. Let us see if you have questions, please. Okay, we have Ishmael Logan. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to unmute so you get to ask your question to Prof. You're muted, please. Ishmael Logan. Okay, so do we have someone else who would like to ask a question?
Hello.
All right, Mr. Logan, please do ask your question.
Okay, Prof, thanks for the brilliant presentation. Specifically, Africa, I want you to outline some of those basic barriers that tend to discourage Africans from pursuing their talent or from exposing or from displaying their talent, some of those barriers. Hey, you get me?
Hello, your voice is not very clear. Please, can you repeat?
I want to know some of those barriers that tend to prevent Africans from displaying their healing talents.
The barriers are related to our mindset again. As I said in the fixed mindset, those barriers are of two types. One is that we create ourselves, and the second one that our society or environment creates for us. So some things are there which are not in our control, but things that is in our control is our own attitude, our own skills, our own growth, our mindset. And I think we need to concentrate on that. But yes, it's a duty of the educational institutions and trainers to help African youth in achieving this.
Okay, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. I hope his answers has satisfied the question you asked. Okay, let's go over to the next person, Mr. Aziz Raji. Yes, okay. So I've asked you to unmute. Could you please do that?
Hello. Prof, how do you fix a corrupted mind?
All the big scams they are done, they were not done by poor people. They were done by very rich or highly people with highly education, the engineers, the scientists, the doctors, the CAs, etc. They were not short of mind, short of money, but they were short in value system, because they could not concentrate more on the spiritual component of their personality. Because in our education system, we did not give emphasis on becoming a good human being also, and that is the result. So it is important that right from childhood, right from young age, we keep our people spiritually with high value system, so that they are away from corruption.
Okay.
Thank you for the
Okay,
question.
thank you. Thank you. I hope he has answered your question. Do we have
Yes.
anyone else who has a question for Prof? Please, if you have a question, kindly use the raise hand feature so we would know you have a question, and we'll get you to ask a question to Prof before he leaves us today. Okay, so I guess we have 3 more hands. Okay, so I'll take Mr. Noble first. Okay, you're unmuted, please.
Hello.
Hello, Noble.
Hello, Prof.
Noble, you are
Yeah, hello,
very noble.
Prof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to ask, how do you discover yourself and your self talent that you have? You see, most of the time in Africa, when you want to exhibit
Yeah. Thank you for the
talent,
question. Thank you very much. You see, basically, I'm an engineer by profession. I served in industry for 25 years, and then I found that I'm more suited for academic line. And whatever little experience I have gained in managing the workforce, I should share it with others also. And I took for to training, and somehow my students and trainees, they liked it, and then I kept adding to it. So I started my journey in some other way, but I opted voluntarily to leave a high job in management in industry to become an assistant professor in a college, and then I rose to become director also. But I am still a learner, so I'm still learning.
Thank you very much. Let's take the question of Mr. Isaac. You're muted, please. Mr. Isaac Taki. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Please, I want to ask that what can Africans do to eliminate these corruptions in our system? I mean, in governance. What can we do to eliminate these corruption activities? And the second question is, we do teach our students from infancy how they can build up their confidence level, but it seems it is naturally in Africans when it comes to how to achieve their self-esteem. It seems it is a challenge for them. How can we, the Africans, I mean, the politicians as well as the parents can do to help their child come out with the best out in them? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that is why I do conduct some training programs on different skills, and but the basic thing is that how to become a better person than you are. About communication, about leadership, about personality development, attitude, team building, discovery. I mean, similar things. So that is one part. But your first question was related to corruption. Usually, that is the problem that almost all developing countries have, and mostly it relates to politicians. But I'm reminded of once I was given to me a lecture to Rotary Club at Lahore, Pakistan, long back. And after the lecture, they asked why in the same number of years India has progressed so much and we have not. So why your economy is growing and why new companies are coming up with so much GDP and all that. So my answer to that was that we have to progress. We have progressed not because of politicians, but in spite of politicians. And that is what is to be there. Something that that is not in your immediate control. Perhaps let us concentrate on what we can change. And change starts from right from us, our own self. Yes, when you get a chance to elect a new leader, you can vote out the corrupt leaders. But till then, I mean, we need to take advantage of the new opportunities that are being offered, and those are being offered because of our talents, our skills. And that is why this self-discovery is the thing that everyone should aim for. And perhaps that is what I could indicate in my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. We have less than 3 minutes left and we have 4 hands. We may not be able to take everyone's question. So we'll just make it as quick as possible. Please ask very short, precise, and concise questions so that we'll be able to answer your questions in, wow, 2 minutes. Okay, we're taking Augustine Nakwe. Could you please unmute?
Thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear.
All right, I'll just go
Loud and
straight.
clear. Go ahead.
I can just go straight to the point because it seems you touched that question. You see, the issue of corruption in African countries, it's a very crucial topic that when you bring it up, everybody wants to ask 1 or 2 questions. And even if we explore a whole week or month, you will not exhaust every question surrounding it. I don't like the situation where some persons, not you, present the issue of tackling corruption from the self or the environment as being very easy, especially when it has to do with a country like a continent like Africa or country like Nigeria in particular, without prejudice to that very country. If you talk about reintroducing the value system or reinstilling the value system right from the cradle, from the school, you will see that corruption has eaten into the fabric of the country, so much so that even in the schools, the question now becomes, who will introduce this value system? Because those who are even in the school, the education systems are corrupt themselves, some of them, or most of them, not everybody, to avoid hasty generalization. If you come to the community,
I think we get the question. I think we get the question now.
the
You're
question
asking
now
who
is,
exactly.
how easy is it to tackle the issue of corruption, especially in this country?
We have
how
reached,
easy is it?
Augustine, we have reached this situation only because what solution we are thinking of today could not be implemented 25 years back. So that every 20 years, 25 years, the generational change is there, but things remain same because we don't change. So start from the beginning, start from self, with the family, with the society, and then things will change. But it does take time. But values are the only answers.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. We really appreciate the time you have given us today with your presentation, the answers to the questions we've all asked you, and everything. We really appreciate you. Mr. Diho, Emmanuel, Mr. Ish, over time, we need to introduce the next speaker, but I'll be handing over to Mr. Benito. Before I do that, I'd like everyone to appreciate Mr. Professor in the chat room. Say thank you very much. Tell him we really appreciate the presentation and we've learned from him. Please, let's appreciate him.
Thank you,
While
Professor.
we do that,
Thank
I'm
you,
handing over.
Princess. Thank you very
You're
much, madam.
welcome, sir.
Thank you for the
You're welcome.
opportunity. and your patience with all the technical problems that I had. Thank you very much.
No, it's fine.
But I look
So
forward to
while we're doing
more
that,
opportunities of interaction.
most definitely, sir. You're welcome. I hand over now to Dr. Benito.
Thank you so much, Princess, and a very big thank you to Professor Jagdish for this awesome lecture. We sincerely appreciate your time. India is 4 hours ahead of Nigeria, and you still made the time to be here. We sincerely appreciate this. We'll be having another interesting session with Professor Jagdish tomorrow. So we will invite everyone to join us in that section tomorrow. Thank you so much, Prof. It has been awesome. There have been wonderful lessons that has been learned. Prof combined 2 approaches to his section, bringing the research section plus the motivational section, joining both together. Now, if you looked at the section, there's one thing he said, and I think that is the primary objective for this particular section. He said self-discovery is the foundation to life. Self-discovery. And I would just add that the day you discover yourself, that's the day you begin to live. No matter how you have lived so far, the day you discover yourself, that's the day you begin to live. Now, he said something. He said he spent 25 years as an engineer. Then all of a sudden, he discovered that he can also function in the academia. Then he left to the academia. And not only that he discovered that he can work in the academia, also discovered that he can help others become better. He wrote a book on discovering yourself, which you could find online. And I recommend everyone to search out for that book, Discovering Yourself by Professor Jagdish Khatri. That's a wonderful book. You can get a copy online and you could spend your time. He just gave us a little of what is inside of the book. So it's important that every one of us, irrespective of who you are, whether you're a professor, a governor, I know there are different calibers of people joining us here today. But one of the basic reasons why we established this conference is for us to discover ourselves. And for any reason we feel like we've discovered ourselves, then we need to rediscover ourselves. Okay, so you move from engineering to academia to consulting to management. All right, so see the dimension. Now, if you take a look at Professor Ekekwe, who gave us the keynote speech also, he moved from engineering to business. And he's doing wonderfully well. He's still an engineer doing great works for Apple, for United States over there. And he's still doing wonderfully well as a business person, as a global business icon. So we need to find ourselves. Who you are is not what you read in school. Who you are is not your certificate. Who you are is not the number of skills you have. He said self-concept. That's part of the part of the components of self-awareness. Who am I? That's a very, in fact, is a billion-dollar question that the day you discover it, poverty will live your life forever and ever. Corruption will live your life forever and ever. Lack of self-confidence will live your life forever and ever. Maybe you could have been living a life of up and down. The day you discover yourself, your life will no longer be up and down. It will only be up, up. And this is not in any way a motivational speech. I'm just giving you the actual fact. Every one speaker speaking here today is an example of self-discovery. Our next speaker is going to be coming up. His own story is also wonderful. Okay, in fact, I think he should be the youngest of all our speakers in this conference. And in just a little time of his existence on earth, he has achieved so much more. So we want to say a very big thank you to Professor Jagdish. We are going to share the slides in the Google Classroom. So in case you're not in the Google Classroom, please ensure you join us there. All of the documents that we're using will be shared there for free, so you could get access to them and use them over and over again. And we're going to have much more practical sessions on this particular topic on personal discovery and creating a life plan. We're going to have much more sessions on them in the Google Classroom. So please ensure to be among us there, and then everything will be provided there. Thank you so much, Prof, all the way from India, making out the time, giving us this free, giving us your intellectual property for free. We really appreciate this. Thank you so much. and we'll pray God bless you and enrich you. We hope to have much more interesting time in the future, and importantly, we hope to have you in Nigeria one of these days, not just on Zoom.
Sure, sure. My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. You have a wonderful time and also enjoy the section.
Thank you.
All right. So the next on our list is a wonderful fellow. We met by coincidence. I think during the COVID, we shared a program, an executive leadership program, which he attended once or twice, irrespective of his busy schedules. So since then, he has become a very important person to look out for. And when this conference came up, having drawn the list of who should be considered for a speaker, we couldn't hold back having him in this program. I'm talking of our very own Dr. Emerie Agunwa, who is going to be discussing with us on the power of focus and vision in entrepreneurship towards sustainable growth and development. He has achieved so much in the little time he has spent on it, and we believe with the much he will still leave, there is going to be much more to learn. Permit me to read out his profile, and then I will proceed. Dr. Emerie Agunwa sits as the president of Marina Group, a full-blown business expression with multiple interests ranging from oil and gas, banking, consulting, advertising, haulage, hospitality, real estate, e-commerce, and telecommunications. In 2007, he started a non-profit organization called Greater Nigeria Initiative, aimed at positioning the country and our citizenry for 2025, when Nigeria will become the world's most desirable place to live in. His interest in nation building made him part in several nation-building projects, especially his input in the Gemstone, a philanthropy-led nation-building initiative where he handled different roles at different capacities. Emerie Agunwa runs a foundation for the less privileged in the society by equipping them with foodstuff, hygiene materials, and many other articles to assist them scale through their challenges easily. He started a charity arm from the foundation to attend the needs of the widow, in particular, helping them sort out feeding, school fees, and house rent issues. The foundation has also encouraged in developmental trainings and activities for children in school with capacity building schemes for academic excellence, and also career, business, and empowerment events for the National Youth Service Corps, NYC, touching and imparting the youth and getting them ready for the role in emergence of Nigeria as the world's most desirable place to live in come 2025. His impact has been directly and indirectly felt across board, inspiring and motivating people with his problem-solving skills and his high hopes that Nigeria can still become the best place to live and work in. All right, so this is just the little of the many of what Professor Agunwa has been able to achieve. Before the end of this class, I'm also going to get his LinkedIn profile and share with us. He is a major influencer in the LinkedIn community, and I sincerely appreciate being in the network of his LinkedIn network. He does great work, putting up great articles, putting up great lessons for so many people in his region. So we want to this point welcome Dr. Emerie Agunwa, who also was once a gubernatorial aspirant. So let's have him talk to us about the power of vision and focus in entrepreneurship. Over to you, Dr. Emerie Agunwa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Benito. Am I audible enough? I'd like to confirm that.
Yes, you're very audible, sir.
Great. So obviously my session will be totally different from the other erudite professors who are ahead of me. I was intentional not to do a slide for this, very, very intentional. But I'll tell you why in the mid of the mid session. Because vision is something that I think is beyond PowerPoint slides. It's something that is is one of the fundamentals for winning in life. I put it this way: you can't walk into a place you've not seen, and I want to make it very plain and simple. Principles are universal. So when we talk about vision, we basically want to look at the physical component of it, which is sight. Okay, which plays a very important role in vision. But much more, we're dealing with the mind. Okay, because that is where we capture images and we create the massive space that is basically beyond the physical space. I can tell you that the world we live in is pretty big, but the world inside of our mind is like 1 billion times bigger than the world we live in. Okay, and obviously anything can tamper with your pocket, anything can tamper with your physical environment. But the moment you let that thing tamper with your mind, okay, which is where vision is birthed, which is where vision is conceived. The moment you let anything tamper with your mind, you are already on a downward spiral. And it might also interest participants in this platform to understand that you first lose money in your mind before you lose money in your pocket. You first get sick mentally in your mind before it reflects in your body. And it's quite interesting that you win in your mind first before your system starts to get in alignment of vision. And I want to take it slightly different, because if I go academically, then obviously we have to take a lot of notes. But I like people listening so that we can deduce our thoughts, different understanding of what I'm saying. And I'm going to tell a story. And the story is of someone that I know very well. And that person I have lived with since I was born. And that person is me, okay? So I want to tell you a story about me. And it's quite interesting because people don't like putting themselves on the spotlight, because it brings to life a lot of scrutiny, okay? People want to look at you to assess, to say what qualifies you to put certain things out, how have you earned the right to say this stuff. But I tell you, one person that I'm proud of in this world, out of the 8.3 billion persons in this world, first is me. I'm totally proud of myself, okay? I'll take a couple of persons, I'll say, yeah, by the time you say the people you love, how many persons will you mention before it gets to your name, okay? How many persons will you call their name before your name shows up on the list? And somebody would have said, are you self-centered? I would say, I would argue if you're a human at all, if you don't want anything for yourself. Okay, I'll first argue that. And it's interesting to note that I want to tell you a story about me, and that's one of the things about vision. Okay, and vision is basically enhanced by the mind space and the alignment of the physical space. Okay, and what it means is that if you take a little chap who is in the village and who hasn't seen anything totally mind-blowing, if you ask him, tell me about the vision you have for yourself, he's going to interpret the thing in his mind based on his cognitive intellectual capacities, which is built from things he could relate to physically. Okay, and my mind is pretty interesting how it works, and I started looking at. I'm a big thinker. I dream big, and at some point I started seeing possibilities, and that's one thing about vision. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something about the word we call vision. There's a difference between vision and dreams. Okay, they might look alike. How like I got a dream. My dream is this. My dream is that. Okay, but I can tell you most of the time that vision makes you awake. Okay, vision is how you interpret performance for the dream. Dream is has a whole lot to do with your cognitive intellectuality, but I think vision, which is the mind seeing, has a whole lot to do with your mind space, what they call your mental shift. Okay. Now, it's interesting to note that from the one I was listening to Professor Ndubisi talk and the other professor from India, but somehow I was a little concerned. I remember you put a thought on my story, which I'm going to finish up, and I tell you why I don't have a slide. And I was hearing questions about what the government needs to do, how we need to escape, why we need to do this, why we need to do that. Okay, I can tell you the truth of the matter with my little bit of experience as a business consultant, as a businessman, that those questions are born out of frustrated dreams. Okay, you must understand, I want to make a very small difference between dreams and vision. Okay, you cannot frustrate a vision, but you sure can frustrate dreams. Okay, I can tell you something, that this country can ruin dreams. This country we're living in, Nigeria, can ruin dreams. Africa as a continent can ruin your dreams, but nothing can tamper with a vision that is already cast. Okay, now this is important to know where you put your focus if you're a businessman. If you're a businessman, you build your system around dreams. Then I can tell you, you're going to go, but at some point when challenges comes, your dream will not sustain you. Now, I don't want us to mix up this whole stuff. So nobody, you come up and you say, I got a dream. I want to have a big office. I want to have a lot of staff. I want to have a whole lot going on. Sounds like a beautiful dream. But when a vision is cast, is in the will, is sired in the will, in the mind will, okay? And at that point, it's more driven on problem solving. And that's one of the things the first speaker said, is driven on problem solving. Now, until the problem is solved, until the problem is solved, the vision would always multiply itself. And this is very important. But I tell you one thing about dreams. When you got a dream, if the problem is not solved, frustration can set in and you switch to another dream, because we have multiple dreams. I mean, everything can be taken from the physical realm, but to the metaphysical realm, which is the first thought that you can have multiple dreams. But when we're looking at vision, whenever it's cast in the mind will, one thing is certain, it is always locked in a problem that is imminent that you need to solve. And one of the things it does for you is that the vision you have puts you to work. So I tell you the story about me. And when I was growing up, everybody loved, like every smart kid, we all got dreams, okay? And so I have dream. I want to be a billionaire. I want to have a couple of aircraft. I want to have live in a decent house, a swimming pool, basically all the dreams that we have, okay? But somehow when you have these dreams, you want it to fall in your lap, okay? You want it to happen at times, and I'm sure I'm speaking to someone that is passing through something similar. When you have a lot of dreams, something comes into your mind. It always comes like this. So when you are frustrated, when the dream is frustrating you, or when circumstances around you are frustrating the dream, you come up with stuff like this. I wish I can just find $1 million on the road, or probably $2 million on the road. That would settle my dream, okay? And it's always interesting because nobody's ever going to find that or give it to you. If your dream is to drive a Range Rover, I bet you, of necessity, if you drive a Range Rover in 2021, by 2025, the one you have will be an old model. And a lot of dreams are more materialistic driven. These are things a lot more about impression and expression and how you want to be perceived. That's where both of dreams are locked into. But when we cast our minds on vision, you'll see it becomes something totally beyond you, okay? It's something that you are going to hand over to a system. And that's why when you see organizations don't craft or document their dream, they tell you what the vision of the organization, okay? It's important to know that anything that kills a system is when you have two visions in a system, okay? It's an English word divided into what they call dual vision or division, or what they call division, okay? What we call two visions, okay? The moment two visions are in a system, what you find is that the system is divided and cannot stand. Okay, I want us to get to the core of this conversation, so I won't, when I'm rounding up, you will understand where I'm headed. Okay, so at some point, like every other ambitious young man, I had a couple of dreams. I want to be that. I want to be that. I want to do a lot of things. I mean, it's not bad to have dreams either. But at some point, I started getting some of the things, not all. I've not even gotten 10% of the things I wanted, I wished for. I started getting some of the things I wanted. And the more I got them, the less satisfied I became. Okay? Now, you realize that it's promised so much, but delivered so little. And as I was getting older, one of the things I did was to sit back after a retreat I had with myself to reposition my thought pattern to ask myself, what am I? What am I looking at? What's my life all about? What am I focusing on? Okay, and that's one of the reasons why my vision changed to what they call Afro-capitalism. Okay, Afro-capitalism is my vision. Is what I have at the back of my mind. My vision is Afro-capitalism. Afro-capitalism is the concept that African businesses and African entrepreneurs can drive sustainable growth and empowerment across Africa. Now that gives me a lot of work, and that automatically changes the things I consider as success. Okay, my success parameters change, and that is what I call vision. Because if you understand what you have created as a vision, then you become focused. Now, focus on each side means that you would not always be distracted by your dreams, because at times your dreams can distract you from your vision. Yeah, you have to know that. Okay, and now you start saying the concept of my lifestyle to shift, and I became a lot more focused. Even right now, I'm trying to prove myself of a lot of excesses so I can put myself in the place of focus on the vision. The vision is to lift Africa out of poverty. The vision is to have a lot more elevated conversations with industry leaders and experts to lead Africa out of the mess that we are in. The vision is to ensure that the GDP of African nations will match or surpass the GDP of Western civilized nations. The vision is that Africa will not just be a consumer market. Africa will be a productive and manufacturing market. The vision is that now when I started thinking Afro-capitalism as my vision, I can tell you what happened. At that point, I started zoning on the focus, and now as a matter of time, the dream level, which is driven by a lot of my ambitions and thoughts, started reducing. Now I can tell you that if I have money for a private jet today, I'd rather use it to set up a factory, okay? And also set up a system that ensures that people who are in the factory would produce something that the world will want to purchase, okay? Now, I can tell you this. Whenever I see a lot of businesses get started, I always ask a simple question. So what problem do you want to solve? Now, I always ask the question because if the problem is about you, it's merely ambition. And ambition, I can always buy you out a few millions of dollars. Okay. What it means is that one of the things I hear first is I don't want to work for anybody. Okay. I don't want to do this. I want to be in control of my time. Okay. And I hear a couple of all this stuff from entrepreneurs in Africa, and I'm concerned because that's not the purpose for business. Okay. The purpose for business is primarily to solve a problem. And I can tell you there are 3 reasons why people do businesses. Number 1, they do businesses because every other person is doing it. Okay, so they ask you questions like this: so what business is moving in the market? What can we do? Okay, and I always ask, it's not about the business that is moving, about the problem we want to solve. So then we'll ask you what business is profitable. Okay, another set will always come and tell you, I have passion for this, and I have to be very plain on this point. Okay, I don't want to make anybody feel sad, but the truth is that not everything you have passion for is a business. Not everything you have passion for is what you can translate to business. Of necessity, you should have passion in your business, but it's not a must that your passion will be your business. I have a couple of things I'm passionate about, okay? But the truth is that I'm not concerned, the vision is not aligned on solving that problem, okay? Now, even if I have passion for watching movies, obviously, is not a problem engineered in my mind space to solve. Okay, now it's important for us to note this, that if as African conversations and leading expression in this in Africa, we must start asking ourselves of now for entrepreneurs, there's two types of entrepreneurs, either you lead outside or you lead inside. A couple of entrepreneurs who have to work in a system to help drive an agenda, okay? Now we are dealing with the concept of vision. For me, it's a lot more elaborate because of the mandate I have in Africa and I've taken upon myself. I think it's also God-given. But for every other person, it needs to be narrowed down. Okay, I asked the person, you want to play in the health industry? I have a friend of mine saying health industry. So what's your vision for the health industry? And what is your vision for your role in the health industry? Now, if your vision is about, oh, if I do this, I mix it so there's a whole lot of money in it. The truth of the matter is that after the money has come and gone, you would leave and follow the money. I don't believe in following the money. I believe in solving the particular problem. Because behind every real problem solved is real money. Okay, now we're dealing with an issue of insecurity, not only in Nigeria, but across Africa. Okay, now somebody is saying, do you really have the vision of a secured Africa? If you have the vision for a secured Africa, I bet you not everything you see thrown at you as on Instagram or LinkedIn as investment opportunities you're going to latch onto. We have a lot of security gaps that we need to latch onto in this country or in Africa at large. Now, when you zone in your mind on that, you of necessity, you must ensure that you don't get distracted, because as an entrepreneur, there's a thin line between profiting and distraction. Okay, you are focused on something, and suddenly somebody puts something else on the table for you that promises a little bit of quick return. You totally abandon what you are building and shift over that. And I must give you an analogy, which I think how all businesses are done. Okay, every kind of profits in two areas. Either you are a hunter. Okay, if you are writing, you have to write this down. Okay, all income and business and profiting will come from these two systems. Either you are a hunter or you're a farmer. Okay, if you take it back to 5,000 8 years ago, okay, that's the predominant occupation of the world, which is either you're a farmer or you're a hunter. Now, the truth of the matter is, if a hunter wants to eat meat, all he needs to do is to set a trap. He can set a trap today and tomorrow he's eating a full-blown meat. Now, if a farmer wants to eat meat, he's going to grow his herds. Okay? Now, I tell you something. The return on hunters in the short term look very enticing. You have very beautiful return, okay, because they're going to be cooking in their lifetime. They have a lot of things going on, but it's not sustainable. It's not transferable, okay? But when you're a farmer, you grow your system. You're building a structure. You are building something for a foreseeable future. Okay, now if the farmer gets distracted by the hunter, then he has lost his focus. Now they don't have same vision in the same space. Now I tell you something which is important. As we are narrowing down in the business world is moving to technology, health, fashion, a couple of other things. We still know that these fundamental principles are what is obtainable. Some persons will rather not build, but cash in on something. And when we keep teaching people cashing in on something, you always ask them a simple question. Now you are cashing in on something. What do you hand over to the next generation? What can you take in a cashing out business, which is basically, I don't want to mention or spoil anybody's business here, but a couple of them, we must have heard a lot of them. I say, is it sustainable? Are you building it? Are you growing it? Okay, can you hand it over? Can it be bought over? Can it be scaled? Can it be taken to the stock market? Can it be opened up to solve a lot more other problems? Can you expand? Can you have branch expression of this cashing out? And that's why I see a lot of entrepreneurs in what I call the cashing out business. I call a lot of them hunters. Okay, you're working as an entrepreneur, your business is not sustainable. A lot of CEOs that basically don't want to build anything. They don't want to build a product. They just want to do drop shipping, some kind of affiliate stuff. I don't want to spoil nobody's business. But like I said, you can choose. You can interpret this anyhow you want to interpret it. But the truth is that you can choose between, is my business a farming strategy or is it a hunting strategy? hunting gives you quick return, but nothing sustainable. At some point, you must understand that one of the things that has created depletion in the ecological space is that we had a lot of farmers, a lot of hunters who every day they will hunt down a particular species of animal, okay, until they grow what they become extinct. Okay. Now the truth is that if an animal takes an average of 6 months to come to full maturity for you to eat it, and you get it in a day and you kill it the next day, okay, it will not have enough turnaround time to reproduce itself. Then at some point, it's going to start dwindling. And that's one of the things we see the economy is getting to what we call bottleneck. Okay, when we build an economy based on cash out, that's what we have in this country, economy based on buying and selling, which is key, but we know that it's cash now. So if we're not in the production line, we don't own a certain level of the value chain, we don't want to build it, then suddenly if the supply system gets tightened up a little bit, then prices skyrocket. When prices skyrocket, consumer behavior changes, and that creates a lot more poverty. Keep bringing up at a particular. Now, I've studied a lot of things in Africa. Then my vision started coming. If Africa is ever going to emerge, then we must start having healthy conversations around businesses. Okay, leading. Having elevated conversations, setting up structures, teaching people how to do measures, how to form partnerships and be part of a system. Because one of the things we've trained here is everybody just what we've had in this part of Africa is a lot of one-man stuff. Just start up your thing, the dream and this. You have a dream, pursue your dream. I tell you, most of the times, if all the dreams you have been teaching and preaching and telling people to pursue their dreams, if it has ever worked, then Africa of necessity would be one of the richest continents by output. Now, if you go to Facebook, these statistics that will shock you, go to Facebook, go to LinkedIn, you're going to understand that Africa has basically, Nigeria in particular is the country with the highest number of CEOs on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Now, it's worrying that we have a lot of CEOs and we don't have employment. Okay, it's shocking that we're going to have statistics over millions of companies are registered. Okay, hundreds of thousands of businesses are registered every year. Okay, nearing almost 1 million every year. And on numbers, if we are clear-cut on the vision we are driving, what we'll be saying right now is that if one company, let's say 500,000 companies get registered every year, and one company employs one person, you're going to find out that every year we are having like 1 million or 2 million persons employed. So that in 3 years, basically everybody will have a job. But that's not what we're saying in the country. Okay, what we're saying is a lot of hunting mechanism. And because we have a hunting mechanism in entrepreneurship, now hunting mechanism has also spiraled down to our educational system. That's why we notice that people don't really go to school to learn anything. They just want to go to school to get certificate for the parents that paid for it. And after they have gotten certificate, they now say, I want to do anything. Now, I don't have a problem if you want to switch from engineering to business, or want to switch from medical sciences to engineering, or want to switch from this to fashion or anything. You can do that, but of necessity. Are you playing in the industry as a hunter, or are you playing as a farmer? Because if you're playing as a farmer, you have to start acquiring certificates, you have to start building your network, you have to building expertise, you have to start going in the ranks, so that when your stuff gets measured on the global scale, even people in the US, people in Europe, people in Asia can attest to the fact that what you know is global standard. Okay, that's how to remain focused. Because one of the things you do is that by the time your mind encapsulates a vision, the vision of necessity will change you. It will change you. This is not a motivational class, but of necessity, the vision will change you. The vision will put you in a place where everything about you, your choice of words, your choice of clothes, your choice of associations, your choice of use of your time, choice of transportation, choice of problems, choice of complaint. You will never hear a man that is vision-driven, vision-oriented, his vision has locked in onto him, complaining about something, because we know that light is of best use in the presence of darkness. If Nigeria is as bright as you want it to be, I can bet you a whole lot of us will not have a chance. And if of necessity we start saying that Nigerian police wakes up today and becomes like a standard police force like NYPD. Now, the truth of the matter is a lot of private security firms in the country will totally shut down. Okay, I don't want to mention their names, but a lot of them will shut down. If the educational system rises up to become what it wants to be, a lot of private schools will shut down. A lot of private universities will shut down. If everything starts working as we want it to be, like we are rushing to those places to see if we're going to participate in the economy, if Nigeria becomes as that, then the system is smaller and becomes for us because zoning us is focused on his vision will suddenly start having headway, because one of the first things you see is that distraction is minimized to the barest minimum. You start moving at precision point. Okay, there is no need why somebody who said he's into movie production or whole movie landscape of Africa or buying a bed at the moment, when he should be interested in owning thousands of acres of land to build his movie village and his production set and a couple of other things. He should spend a lot of time acquiring expensive equipment, because for him, assets to grow the industry that he has seen the vision about is about owning cameras and his lights and props and sets and a couple of things. But when he is distracted by the dream, then instead of the dream being a tool for the vision becomes a tool for the dream. So by the time they have their first break, they move into acquisitions of and luxuriating in their the things they've gotten for themselves. And that's one of the things we've talked about Africa at large. Now, we don't want to put Africa as a good place that we're talking about corruption. Everybody says Africa is corrupt. I can tell you, Africa is not more corrupt than Western world, yeah? But one of the things we see is that a lot of Africans use corruption to drive dreams, okay? While a lot of Western systems use corruption to drive a vision, okay? Now, it's not a bad idea that, I don't want to sound like a politician, but I want to say this. A lot of people get loot and luxuriate in their personal ambitions. Another persons get loot and they used to set up organizations that are taken to the stock market, that employ people, that elevate standard of living. Now, all of them got loot, but one is driven by a dream or called a vision to empower. Okay, now we're looking at all these sides of it, and my question to you before I round you in, what vision you have for your organization as regards to the industry you are playing in? Okay, we're seeing questions of people growing their enterprises. You can research, you realize that an organization like DHL owns more than 50 airlines, and now you will just ask yourself a question. What is the framework? What did the owners of DHL see to make them grow their business in that capacity? Growing, having airlines, employing hundreds of pilots, that you stand a better chance of being a pilot with DHL than you stand being a pilot with a national carrier. They've expanded their operation and they are so zoned in on that. They are not moved by the latest stuff and this stuff. They rather move by the latest technology that will drive the enterprise. Not basically on trying to say, I acquired this, I acquired this. All this stuff, give it time frame, is going to start shrinking down, okay? And I don't want to bore anybody on my thought patterns, but I know that a whole lot is going to come out from Q&A. I know you have some questions to ask me or probably some thoughts to share. Before I finish up, so the reason why I don't want to share a slide, I want us to have what they call a frank conversation. Okay, I've had being a lecturer in a lot of business schools and teaching stuff, and I realized that people lose a whole lot in the vehicle of PowerPoint slides because it's not conversational. Okay, I want us to bring it down. Let's talk about these real matters. We can decide to have this just as an event is done for, but review the reasons why I want to do what I want to do. And the truth is that if your vision is the same with another person's vision, the best advice is that two of you partner, because two is always better than one. But if what you have that looks like a vision is basically a dream, then what happens is that 2 or 3 persons will be in the same industry, but they would rather be CEOs, because the dream problem is just to be a CEO, to attain a certain level of social class and status, okay? And that's why you've seen businesses don't grow. You don't find people who work in a business for 15, 20 years. You don't find organizations growing, owning up their systems and buying up properties, setting up factories, having exchange programs with multiple relational links between Africa and diaspora. We don't find this stuff. So what I'm trying to create is that we're going to keep mental. Now, at the mental stage, I don't want us to use slide. So that explains why I don't want to use slide, okay? And now, to end up my story, what happened to me because of transformative was I switched from being just ambitious to understanding the scope and what I want to do in Africa. And I said it, I believe in Afro-capitalism. I'm having elevated conversations with CEOs, the future of the e-sector, the future of the bank, the future of agro, future of in technology. What is the role of technology, the participating role, what stakeholders, how do we become better key stakeholders in this system, or how can we run our own counterpart support systems? So basically on that thought pattern, that explains the basic of our conversation. So I'm going to put a pause on my thoughts and see if there are questions for me, and we can take it off from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Agoa, for doing justice to this section. It would have been better than this. Thank you so much. More importantly, thank you one more time for your time. I can see how heavy your eyes is. So to carry Africa on your shoulder is not a joke. Okay. So thank you so much for coming around. All right. So without taking much time, since I decided to make it conversational, so we are going to take questions and then share our own thoughts also. So please, if you have a question, kindly raise your hand. If you have a thought to share, kindly raise your hand, and then Doc will be here to attend to. Okay, so we have Emmanuel N. Collier, and then we have Isaac Taki, we have Ishmael Logan. So let's take the first person, please. Emmanuel N. Collier, please, if you can hear me, kindly unmute and let's hear from you.
Yeah. Are you getting me?
All right, more volume, please.
Okay. Hello. Are you getting me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much for the discussion. I overheard him saying concerning.
I can't hear you. Sorry, please. We can't hear you. Kindly raise your volume.
Yeah. Are you hearing me well now?
You need to really increase your voice, so your system voice, so that we can hear that.
Okay. Okay. Are you hearing me well?
All right, go ahead. Just try and be much more audible.
Okay. He said that concerning the issue of corruption in Africa and the Western world. So I want to know, how can corruption affect the economy? Because according to his explanation, in Africa, in America, or in the Western world, they use it for a vision, that is by employing folks and so forth. But in Africa, they use it for a dream. So how can it affect the economy?
Okay, thank you so much. All right, Doc, I guess you had that question.
Sorry, interest, I didn't even get the question. Can you rephrase it for me?
Okay, he said, the question he asked, he said, during your presentation, you made mention that corruption is inevitable, but the difference between African economy and the Western economy is that the African will use corruption to drive dreams, and then those in the Western world use corruption to drive vision. So his question is, how can we now handle the issue of corruption in managing vision?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So the thought is that I'm not in any way supporting corruption, okay? But all I'm trying to say is, so far we have humans who have blood in their system. You cannot take away greed. Corruption is fueled by greed, okay? So you can't take away greed from human beings. Now, what we're trying to ask, the same question we're asking is, when somebody takes money, okay, in the law court, you put it this way: someone say, hey, I stole money because somebody is sick, I want to solve the person's problem. Now you notice that the person's sentence is different from somebody who stole money to buy a hair. The person who stole money to give somebody food is different from somebody who stole money to buy a hair. Okay, this is in the law court. That's why it's driven by human factor. They will listen to the reasons. Okay, now what we're saying is, in where we are in Africa, before we deal with the concept of corruption, we must deal with the concept of our mind shift. Okay, which is when somebody takes 20 billion, for instance, $20 billion, and the $20 billion is for vacation, for gold, for transport, for cars, for electronics, and for dinners. Okay. Now I'm not questioning the 20 billion that was stolen. Now I'm questioning the mind of the person who stole it. Now, but if somebody says, I stole 20 billion, for instance, not in support of it, I stole 20 billion of it so that I can put it in Benito's dream of creating Africa's biggest bank. So when he's finally caught, the business is handed over to government, or the business keeps employing people. Now, in American study, we have Madoff, and basically all the business that Madoff started with the loot, $50 billion loot, is still functional. People are still working there. But when you take off these things in transportation, so I'm not in support of corruption one bit, but I'm saying while we are trying to blame corruption, which we might not fix immediately, we can fix the mind, our mind. Because we are not very different from the people in government presently. Reason is that when we have money, when we find a way to dupe a fellow person for money, because people do that a lot, either by increasing markup or probably by what happens during festive periods. If a flight ticket that used to be 55,000 suddenly becomes 250,000. Okay, now if we are saying that the markup of the 200,000 that we took from the masses, we use it to grow an enterprise, then it's a crime, but it's a forgivable crime. But if we use it for something different, now what it means is that one will fuel an ambition, which is one of the critical reasons why people do what they do. Another one will fuel the project. So this is what you see. Now you notice that a lot of billionaires abroad do a lot of give back. Why are they giving back? Because the real reason why they started was not to be a billionaire. But after they have used something to create resources, they are giving back. Okay, let's fund the tech space in Africa. Let's fund healthcare. Let's fund this. Let's fund that. Let us put in money here. But have you asked yourself a question? Why African billionaires don't give back? Okay, because basically, why would you give back when it can buy you another car? I can tell you of certainty that an average Nigerian millionaire has more cars in his fleet than Jeff Bezos. So what is the difference? One would rather employ people, the other one would rather have fleet of cars. Now, all I'm trying to shift in this conversation is not in support of corruption, but to say, if we that are in this platform can fix the reason why we do what we do, maybe when money comes into our hands, we will not behave like people who are corrupt. Thank you. Okay? It's basically what we're trying to say. So when I'm not in support of corruption, don't get it twisted. Never will I support it. But the thought is, our mind must be re-engineered to something beyond us. Because if it's a car, if it's an iPhone, it is totally beneath you. After one year, that becomes the old model. But I have not seen an old model Guinness Corporation. I've not seen an old model Coca-Cola. I've not seen an old model Amazon. I've not seen an old model Toyota. I've not seen an old model. I'm not talking of the products, I'm talking of the cars. I'm not talking of the product, I'm talking of the companies. I'm not seeing an old model. These things, they keep pushing out. And every day we're creating sustainable development across their systems. And that is why people want to go there, and they're elevating minimum wage. And now a company wakes up and says, okay, let's say, for instance, let's say, God forbid, but let's say I'm in government now. Once a senator, I looted the country dry and I employed 25,000 persons. And my job is, if the minimum wage of Nigeria is 30,000, my minimum wage in my organization is 150,000 or 200,000, for instance, minimum wage. Now, this is what will happen. The day they will catch me that I stole money, you will find people protesting that he's a good man. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean I wasn't a criminal. But people say he stole for the right reasons. I become a Robin Hood for this generation. Take it from these people, give it to these people. What Africa needs right now is a Robin Hood approach for the stealers, for the corrupt people. Now, for those of us who are not corrupt people, we must understand that we must think community development, must think community empowerment. We must think, I can give you a list of over 6,000 something stuff, over 6,000 items we import as a country. Okay, now if somebody says, I want to steal money, for instance, the person stole money from government to ensure that we stop importing this stuff, we are now manufacturing it here. You create value chain of productivity. Please do not misinterpret me. I am not in any way in support of corruption, but I am saying that our mind has to be bigger than just dreams. And when your mind moves into ambition level, you will notice that a lot of persons can step down, move from ambition to vision level. I can get to a point where I know that I have run this company for 14 years, 15 years, 20 years. I do not have the capacity to achieve this vision anymore. Then I step down and I hand over my organization to another MD, another president that will run it. And we've seen those things play out all the time in foreign organizations. People are handing over the vision they have created to somebody who can run it while they chase something different. But in Africa, you'll see a CEO that is 60 years old, 70 years old, hanging in there till he dies. We've seen this play out in businesses. We see it play out in government. We see it play out in religious organizations, that a pastor does not even know that at 65 or 70, he should be handed over to the next generation to continue the vision. Then he keeps making himself the center of everything because he has created channels for personal ambition. Because the moment you remove the office or the title or the vehicle for personal ambition, he loses his relevance. But you see people, Jeff Bezos does not work in Amazon anymore. Bill Gates doesn't work in Microsoft anymore. How many Nigerian businessmen can do that? Because it was never vision-driven. It was never about solving, emancipating Africa completely. It has always been about them being one chairman that calls the shot and does one thing, sitting down on one particular seat until they die. And that's why the moment they die, the system dies. Now, we've had great businesses in Africa, but because of the way we led them, it must of necessity die with the person who founded it, because it was not founded on a long-term problem-solving vision. It was founded on the personal problem-solving skill, which is to enrich or to become capacitous or become powerful. Yeah. So I think that gives a little bit of clarity to what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc, for that elaborate explanation. So to Emmanuel Nkoli, so the root point is we should move from ambitions or move from dreams to vision, so that when resources come to our hands, we can know how to make good use of them. All right, so quickly, let's have Isaac Taki. Please, Isaac Taki, kindly unmute and let's hear from you.
Please, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, go ahead.
Hello. Please, thank you, Professor, for such an amazing.
Can you please raise your volume? Can you please be more audible?
Thank you very much, Professor, for such a nice presentation this afternoon. Doug, please, what I want to know is that in Africa, most of the people are interested in the entrepreneurship, but they will start the business within a short time, then the business will collapse. I want to know what are the constituents, what are the things that normally leads to that, because per my own investigation, some of them used to establish a business, which maybe the business profit within a month is maybe, I want to quote it in Ghana cedis, maybe 200 Ghana cedis for the month. But at the end of the month, the person will feed on the same maybe store with an amount of maybe 300 Ghana cedis, which normally affect the shop. So I want to know.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. So your question is, entrepreneurs start businesses in Africa, and then the business don't get to survive. So what are the things that make businesses to collapse, startups to collapse? All right. So over to you, Doc.
So basically, I put it this way. I'm a business consultant. I've done it for 15 years now. And like I always tell people, I said, it's just like asking a question, why do houses collapse? Okay, first of all, a design problem. And second of all, an engineering problem or a structural problem. Okay, no house has ever collapsed because of bad painting. Okay, we always know that. Okay, no house has said, oh, this house collapsed because it was not painted properly. Okay, it's basically a foundational issue, which is the why, which is the core, which is why you are building. Because on the foundation, you ask the questions of the core. What kind of structures are we building? Okay, from the type of structure you are building, you raise a type of foundation, the kind of raft or piling or couple of, okay? Now, if you are doing business, the first question I always ask is, if the business collapsed, we've said that 90% of businesses will fail in 5 years. Sounds like a beautiful statistic just to make people live entrepreneurship. But the truth is, if we say, why are they collapsing? Let me put it this way. If I want to start a bank, I have an option. If I want it to fail, I have an option, which is to get my little idea, get it on a paper, and start anyhow from my room. Okay, obviously we have more likelihood that it's going to fail. But if I want it to start, then I start shopping for experts. I'm looking for more partners, for more persons. Okay, oh, this guy has experience in the banking sector. Can I pull him out from Stanbic? Can I pull this guy from UBA? Can we form a partnership? Or if it's just me, obviously you need to let me answer the question directly, so I won't bore you. One of the reasons why businesses fail is that people take out from the business to fund their personal lifestyle necessity. Okay, so when a business gets money, you must pay your children's school fees. You take from that business, pay school fees. One comes first. You pay your house rent. You sort out your car spoils. You fix it. Okay, you do this. You do that. Your mom will swallow pin in the village. You send money to the village from the business. So by the time you do all this stuff, obviously the business will crash. Now the people in the business are also in the business to take out from you too. So given 1 year, 2 years, if you raise the money from your former workplace, it's going to finish. Or if I say this is why I'm doing this business and I have personal problems, mean that if I'm the sole risk taker of this business, okay, if I'm the sole risk taker of this business, then if anything happens to me, then this business will have an issue. What I will do is that I'll take out the first 3-4 months, look for people with similar interests. We are 3, 4, 5. Then we share the responsibility. Then we become accountable to ourselves. Okay. Then we push the system. Then it's not boring holes in my pocket. If my office rent is 5 million naira and I'm paying it alone, then obviously 5 million naira leaves my personal economy to pay the office rent. But if we are 10, for instance, that are board members, then what leaves our pocket is 500,000. Okay, that gives us more leg room, and that opens up more network, more diversities of thought pattern, okay, and accountability structure. You can't just employ because I like somebody, I saw her in the airport, oh, what are you doing? I read so and so, I think I like you, no work, come to the office, let me employ you. Okay, you can't do that kind of recruitment. Okay, because people are foundation structure, capital raising is part of financial structure, operational formation is part of that, even your operational style. Some businesses of necessity cannot lead. Some businesses must be partnering with a leading organization. Okay, I want to play in the automobile industry. It's not a must that I will produce cars. Okay, I can be working on the shocks alone. Okay, now all you do is either you deal it with creating your foundation. In that foundation, that's what I'm thinking. The foundation structure of any business deals with the people, what they call the project sponsors, people who are running this business. Who are they? What are they bringing to the table? How far do they want to do this? If they don't want to go very far, they want to just try it for 5 years, then you must talk to a consultant, or you'll find it, if you know it, create an exit structure so that after 5 years, this is an exit plan for you. We will pay you this, or you can reverse this. This is how it's done. And anybody who runs business must understand what they call OPT and OPM. Other people's time, other people's money. OPT, OPM. Whenever you deal with OPT, if you don't master OPT, you're going to have a lot of redundancy in your organization because you employed basically to feel good. When you walk in, they say, "Oh, God, don't come, carry bag, do this. Somebody open the door for you. This might be there's a lot of redundancy." But if you understand that I am paying for somebody's time, then you must say time is equals to what deliverables. This is direct equation. So if the deliverables are not adding up, you restructure your system. We have a remote work policy. You work this, reduce overhead. You must find a way. If your system restructure it from the foundation, if it's not working, we need to have ad hoc, work with freelancers, not steady. You do all your models, but every system that has ever crashed had a foundational design problem. Every business that has ever crashed was designed wrongly. People walked into it either by survival, and I don't want to mix words. A lot of persons have moved into business because of survival. They were so hungry, nobody gave them job. They said, "We're going to do it anyhow." Okay, but I don't care how you started. When you come to your right senses, yes, okay. It's just like somebody who said, "Landlord wants to throw me out of the house, so I have one land somewhere. Let me just put one block in the fence and stay." Okay, you are staying there, but then you have money to turn that property into a duplex. Of necessity, you will tear down that house that is on the wall. Now, but what people want to do is that they want to start remodifying the hustle, that survival, into a big business. The foundation is one man, but now you have 20 branches on one man. The man will collapse one day, or this man will just have a different interest, or the man will not have a lot of control in some areas, and the business will collapse. So the moment you move out from survival, you must obviously put a pause or create a supporting system, redo your foundation and build. I'm using building to give you the illustration of this. Yeah. So I hope that people can understand that. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for that question. Okay, so before we move to the next question, I am sharing Dr. Agunwa's LinkedIn URL. So please, we kindly encourage everyone to follow him on LinkedIn. Some of the questions we are asking, these are some of the things he addresses on LinkedIn rather. So please, you can feel free to join him there and then be sure to get much more information. All right, quickly, for the sake of time, we might not take all the hands up. We'll be going on break by 1:30 and we'll be returning by 3 p.m. Please note that the attendance will be shared in the last section today, which is by 3 p.m. So we're going to have the last session by 3 to 4. From 1:30 to 3, we are going to be on break. And then when we reconvene, we'll be closing now. Okay, so we take, randomly, we take 1 or 2 questions before 1:30, and then we'll go. All right, so I'm going to take Ishmael Kuma. Please, Mr. Ishmael, kindly unmute and let's hear from you.
Good afternoon, Baneto and Doctor.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah, Doctor, today I'm very impressed about the discussion so far. Our theme is Feast Your Mind, Feast Africa. Now, that's one thing I've realized is that our leaders or ourselves, when you are struggling to survive and the opportunity that's open for us, instead of us to also do or be a leader by example, we also join the train where you call, that is how we do it. That is how we do it here. So if you want to change it, either you consider yourself sacked or you join us. Now, in Africa, you have a lot of mineral resources. We have a lot of things that we can do. Now, every day, our leaders go to the Europe and America to borrow money to come and do A, B, C, D in Africa. Now, we, the youth, we are also struggling to survive and do something better for ourselves. But we realize that the system itself is not supporting, and it's not supporting us one way or the other because of political power that you may need to do something. When you are struggling to survive, either you adjust yourself to a political party or you consider your business being stuck. Now, you're talking about facing your mind, facing Africa. What will be the implications, or what do you think we will do to survive in this atmosphere where the political power or the political system is so much that if you don't follow them, or if you don't want to align with one particular party, then it means that your business is not going to go far? That is my question.
Right, Doc, over to you, sir.
Sorry, I didn't hear very clearly.
Okay, in a situation where there is high political force, taking a situation where people feel like this is how we do it here and that's how we do it here. So if you need to make any change, you need to be part of us. So in a situation where the foundation is highly handled by political powers beyond your capacity, how do you effect changes, leadership changes in such environment?
So like all changes, that what they call, I believe what they call incremental change, okay? I think one of the problems with change is that we want it to be immediate, okay? And it's also boils back to the reason how we do business, okay? If you're going to sell a biro to people, you first teach them why they should write, okay? If you want to sell shoes to people, you explain to them why they should wear shoes. The moment they buy into that, you have a business. Now, the truth of the matter is, the problem you want to change overnight is 60, 70 years old. You obviously cannot change overnight. I always ask people, if the problem is like that, you're not, so what is your long-term plan? Now, the truth might be the long-term plan, like I always say, whenever I talk about anything that is bad in this country, we are hoping that youths will wake up, or probably the positive thinkers will wake up, and the next minute will fix all the problem. No, it's not done. I bet you if Nigeria decides to fix itself right now, it's going to take 20 years or 30 years for us to start getting it right. Okay? Now, everyone must understand their role, that some person's job is to sow a seed, what they call a seed of contrast. Seed of contrast is for the first time there's comparative between something and something. Okay? Now, you don't have to turn all around. What you build is that you come out, everything technology we are expressing here as if it's normal. No technology is new. LCD technology is more than 60 years old. But they were introducing it as if it's a gradual stuff. Okay, even anything, what are the key stakeholders? When you say if it needs to become a core, then we must understand what they call strategy. I don't want to move in strategy because I don't have time. But strategy is not a business term. Strategy is a war term. Strategy is basically demarketing a system and empowering one, or bringing down one to empower something. Tactics and long-term and short-term, couple of other things like that. Now, when you look at this, okay, what are the strategies to implement this? You've heard about, for those of us who are Christians, we've heard about what they call wolf in sheep clothing, yeah? And that is, if you hear wolf in sheep clothing, that's somebody's strategy. And that person's strategy can be sheep in wolf clothing. That's why you see spies moving in certain ways. They look like you, they look ordinary people to infiltrate a system. It's a long-term thing. Okay, if America wants to get information on you, they don't want to work, they're not going to walk in today and get information and walk out tomorrow. And that is a 15-year plan. You can even end up marrying the person. They set up a system, a long-term plan. Now, the thing is that because of what we're dealing with is massive, we want to come out so fast, and that is the strategy of the person who is against us. So that when you want to move so fast, they move on the counter attack and you lose. So the idea is, if we think this is what we want to focus on, 1-2 key pilot projects at a time, what is the time frame? 1 year, 10 years, 20 years? What are the strategies? The first strategy is to infiltrate the people at this age. If it's going to be 20 years, then anybody who is 50 years right now cannot be active in that change. So for us to do this, we must find inclusion for people who are 20 years. So by that time they are 40 years, so that they can do this one. It's strategy. Okay, so I think the issue is solving a long-term problem with a short-term strategy is one of the reasons why we cannot bend the hand. But when we gradually infiltrate, set up one person and one becomes a model, okay, then for the first time, people can start playing contrast. In this country, what we need is what they call contrast. We saw contrast in NAFDAC. Everybody who is a Nigerian can attest to the fact that at some point, one agency in Nigeria created a contrast that they started using for comparison. NAFDAC this, NAFDAC that. If we are strategic and we built on that, it would have been 2 agencies, 3 agencies, 4 agencies, 5 agencies. By the time we take it like that strategic, let's say we started doing that for the past 7-10 years, we would have had like 20 agencies that we can hold onto for standard and performance. Move into Servicom. Now, I asked an average young person, do you want to work in Servicom? Do you want to work in this? They don't want to work. All they care about is federal job and security. They don't care about infiltrating the system enough to change it. Okay, so the strategy has to be long-term tool for a long-term challenge, okay, or a short-term this for a short-term challenge. But if you want to fix a long-term problem of necessity, you use a long-term strategy. Thank you very much.
So much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, we just have 3 minutes to 1:30. So I will only take 1 question. So please, whoever that is going to ask the question, just go straight to the point so that Doc can answer the question and then we can go have our break. Okay, so I'm going to have Samuel Chibuokem. Okay, please, Samuel Chibuokem, kindly unmute and let's hear from you. Samuel Chibuokem. Okay, Samuel, your mic is open. Can you please give a voice? All right, Samuel, sorry, for the sake of time, we'll have to take another person. Please, can we have Usman MT? Please, Usman, if you can hear me, please go straight to your question. Usman MT. Usman, your mic is open, but we're not hearing you. Okay, so it seems.
Evening.
So,
thank you very much.
All right, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. Make it very snappy.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for your very insightful discussion. My main question is, like you said, I appreciated how you differentiated between vision and dream. So my main question is, I always believe that there has to be sacrifices to anything you set yourself to do. So based on your experience, what do you think are the main sacrifices that you have to make or costs that you have to set yourself on in order to achieve the vision that you want to get in general terms? Thank you very much.
Okay, so I had your question. So it's simple. I posted something on my status this morning. I said, decide what you really want in life, then say no to every other thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the truth of the matter is that you cannot solve every person's problem. You cannot be everything. Okay. You cannot be everything. And it's a question of focus. What is the most important thing? Okay. What I do is that I itemize the 3 most important things that I want to chase for each year. I'm not chasing everything. What are the 3 most important things? If I fail in these 3 things, the year wasn't successful. Now, it's as simple as zoning in on those thoughts. Okay? Reduce distraction by all means. How I wish you know the power of distractions. Because distractions don't look like distractions until they are done distracting you. That's when your eyes are open. Okay? It's very legitimate. Okay? It might be your best guy who's getting married. People say, I'm me. Come for my wedding. I do the math. Flight ticket, hotel bill, this. And if I move from performance zone to party zone, and by the time I come back, I need to rewire myself to be in performance zone, I will just send you 50K, please, for your trouble. Okay? And it's there. This is as simple as you can ever get. The day you will crash, they will move on. Okay? So what I do is distraction. I know it. At times it's very real. At times it's something very, very you want to be part of. Okay? Please, by all means, the distraction that we have funded for ourselves is this device. You see this device? Okay? This thing is a distraction we bought with our money. I don't do social media in the daytime. I do it after I am done with my daily to-dos. Okay? I do it as a reward system. If I don't do well, I'm not replying you. I reply the next day. If I don't finish, I'm not replying that day. Okay? You must find what works for you. So for friends, when they call you, tell them, call me by 6 p.m. Okay? Or at times you tell them, put it in writing. Those ones, please, of friends who are not serious. You ask me something, I say, can you put it in writing? Send it in writing so my PA can look at it. Okay? That puts on serious people off. These are things that you have to do, but you have to find a way to create the traction on what you want, yeah? And because by the time it's legitimate things that will distract you, never things that are not legitimate. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Emery Agunwa, for this awesome time. Someone is pleading. He said he has a question that he finds difficult. So will it be okay? Will you give the person grace to take one more question? All right.
I am here.
Okay, so Ishmael Logan, please kindly go straight to the question. Ishmael Logan.
Okay, Chief, thank you for the privilege. Are you getting me? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir, I want to know basically whether Africa can be able to fight corruption in the absence of its colonial power.
Okay, so I didn't get the question very well. You said?
I'm asking whether African countries can be able to fight corruption in the absence of their various colonial powers.
Okay, did you hear it very well?
I think he's asking how Africans can fight corruption in the absence of their pre-colonial masters or something like that.
Yes, sir, that's the question.
Okay, so you see, I don't believe in fighting corruption. I don't believe in fighting corruption. Okay, I don't believe in fighting corruption. I believe in living above corruption. Okay, there are things you can't fight. There are things you can't fight. I believe in living above it. So somebody say, how can you fight? How can you fight weather? It's there. So far there's human blood, corruption will be there. Even children are corrupt. Okay, so but what we're trying is how do we live above it? And the truth is that first, if we have our colonial masters, we must understand that they used to be our pre-colonial masters. They are no longer our colonial masters. We need to start understanding that we are an independent entity, 100% responsible for the outcome of what is going on. And what I mean, it's just like telling a single guy the story of a married guy. A married guy comes out straightforward to tell you, whether I like it or not, the school fees of my children, house rent, everything is on me. His lifestyle is different. You are now responsible, completely responsible of the outcome of your country. Now, when we do this, I believe that Africa needs to start having more conversations to start on removing our mind that we are not below the Western world.
Yeah.
We are a different type of persons, that we are original in our own terms. Last few months in Dubai, they created some kind of scientific experiment because they've not had rain, and rain fell. I told my guys in the office, I said, we do this in Africa. Every little community can make rain fall. Okay, it's not a big technology. This is not the first time we are doing it. Okay, but we must understand that what we have is original. We must understand that what we have is original. Then put scientific methods around it so we can scale it. But when we keep doing all this stuff, a lot of this, the first colonialism mentality is to the colonial masters. And what happens is because I don't know how to do this, but if I walk into your office and a white man walks into your office and you take the white man more serious than you take me, then you are part of the problem.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Because when people walk in, that's where the corruption starts. If I want to dupe you, I come with a white man to dupe you. I don't know if you can. That's why we see all these things going on. And the corruption is first of all a subservient mentality that we are below someone. That we are below someone. Without no pun intended, but I've reduced the way I say wear shirt and tie and suit, okay? But I wear more of natives. This is me. The white man called it tie. They didn't miss words. How do I tie myself with something called tie? To what end? To look like them? Obviously, you can't be more Catholic than the Pope, okay? So you have to, so you're already at a position where you have to answer to certain things, and they bring out a standard called globalization, okay? And I just to mention this, I didn't mention it since you asked the question. Now, somebody wakes up to say, the future of transportation is no longer oil and gas, is now electric. Now, my first thought is, who came up with that? because obviously they don't have a lot of crude oil in abundance. So they have to move on to something. Now, Africa should define what is our own future of transportation and bring out a standard for our own. Now, what happens is that when we don't elevate our own personal conversations, then we keep bending to someone else's stuff. Then it becomes, how do you come out from corruption in a pre-colonial system? You are caged in two places, a cage of survival, a cage of control. It's not like somebody who is in a house and the house is on fire and you're also under burglary proof. That's where we are as a country. So first of all, you emancipate yourself from one so you can win the other one. Okay? The question you ask is too deep. I'm sure this won't do justice to it, but I tell you, you can take a clue from this and take the answers I want you to take from this. Yeah?
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Emery Agunwa. And that's going to be the last question for the day. There are several hands still up, but for the sake of time, we might not be able to take all of them. We are returning back by 3 p.m. and then we'll take more of the questions by then. So please, can we say a very big thank you to Dr. Emery Agunwa, irrespective of the whole schedule on him, his teammate time to be here. Having a man of such vision for Africa, I'm sure even in his dream, he will be doing anything to make sure Africa gets better. Please, can we say a very big thank you to Dr. Emery Agunwa. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm sharing his LinkedIn profile. So please kindly ensure to follow him on LinkedIn. Every day he drops very, very vital, crucial, and motivating nuggets which can help each and every one of us. And there are several things he has said here, and I'm sure you will get more by the time you join him on LinkedIn. One of the things he has said here is that there is a difference between dreams and vision. You could always have many dreams, but you always have one vision. So you get more of that on his LinkedIn profile. And he also said something that got my attention. And I think I'm a believer of such. He said the things that would distract you, they are very, very legit. So if you're not careful, they will actually destroy you before you know that they've distracted you. So that means it calls for a need for high-level focus. His discussion was on the power of vision and focus for sustainable growth and development. So I think he has done justice to this. And also to the question that have been brought, they've also given more clarity to all of this discussion we've had. So I want to say a very big thank you once again to Dr. Agunwa. Thank you so much. Don't worry, we'll soon buy you more milk so that your eyes will clear. All right, so thank you so much, everyone. Our next session will begin by 3 p.m. and then we'll be sharing the attendance link and the appraisal link. Also, importantly, it's good for us to note that for us to have access to the certificate that will be shared, it is on 100% attendance. So on this, we say thank you to all the faculty members present this morning. Mr. Chidike Naman, Princess Adeze, Mr. Okafo, Ike Nokafo, and to all other facilitators that will be joining us. Subsequently, I had Engineer Oliver in the house. Thank you so much for coming, and to all of the speakers this morning, I want to say very big thank you. We'll be coming back by 3 p.m. Please, by all means, make sure you're here. By all means, we've seen people from Canada, US that have been in this meeting since morning, since 9:45, and they are still on. We want to say a very big thank you to all of you, and those that joined us from India and those that joined us outside of the comfortable time zone we are enjoying in Nigeria and Ghana. We want to say a very big thank you. So we'll see you again by 3 p.m. For all of the students who are joining us, I think I'm seeing students from the University of Nigeria here. So thank you so much. Although I'm seeing them in their classroom. Thank you so much for coming, and God bless you, really good. So we will meet by 3 p.m. Thank you so much, and God bless you, really good.